coasters, jet fighters, and Bristol. 3 things that will make your head pound and your jaw drop. In the northeastern hills of Tennessee, this is not just a race, it's a ritual.
He wins in Kansas, 3 in a row for Mike Skinner.
What a way to get here. Ron Hornaday Jr. picks up his 3rd win of the year.
In the year 2000, it's Greg Biffle congratulating his team for 3 in a row.
They were not kidding when they said last weekend in Phoenix they were making it 3 in a row.
Dominant performance for Mike Skinner, celebrating 3 in a row now.
Johnny Benson has joined that elite fraternity, winning 3 in a row. Tonight, he tries to do what they could not, win 4 in a row. Just one of many storylines surrounding tonight's truck race in Bristol. And there it is, the concrete gymnasium where gladiators come to do battle. The world's fastest half mile, and you are about to be set up. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the seldom used edition, Wednesday edition of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series setup. I'm Krista Voda. Normally, Wednesday is just the day they put chicken nuggets on the school lunch menu and the Penny Saver coupon clipper arrives in the mail. Not this week. NASCAR has revved up your midweek with a NASCAR show, and a lot of top guns are in the field. We will hear from a lot of those drivers coming up. But first, let's get you up to date with our news, beginning with next year. The 2009 schedule has been released, and the Truck Series will race at a new venue, Chicago. The trucks will go there at the end of August. Also, a penalty has come down since our last race in Nashville. The number 30 team of Todd Bodine has been penalized. Their crew chief, Mike Hillman Jr., fined $2,500. Todd and his owner, Steve Germain, have lost 25 driver and owner points. And what do you do after you win 2 Nextels and Sprint Cup championships? You race in the Truck Series. That's what Jimmy Johnson is doing tonight, making his Truck Series debut. You know, I wonder if Jimmy is nervous. He actually said this is not just the first time he's raced a truck. Today's practice, the first time he ever sat in a truck at all. He said there was a lot less room in there than he thought there would be. We're going to hear from Jimmy. But, you know, JJ is just one of our big stories. What about JB? Here's a look back at the incredible summer stretch Johnny Benson has had.
It will be his first win at Kentucky Speedway in just his 4th start. Johnny Benson will win at Kentucky.
Sure gives me something that's capable of winning a race, or at least running in the top 5 for sure.
Johnny Benson's going to hold on the bottom of the racetrack. Ron Hornaday charges in just a bit too hard, and that will wrap it up. Johnny Benson will now have a win from O'Reilly Raceway Park. The win again for Benson. That's 2 in a row.
The way you win gold in stock car racing is you put the pedal to the metal. That's what Johnny Benson has done.
Making his way to victory lane tonight, crossing the start-finish line, 3 in a row for Benson.
Another victory. Johnny Benson 3 in a row. Trip Bruce making the calls to get him there.
That is impressive.
That's domination.
And because of those 3 wins, that is why Johnny Benson has been able to do this in the Ford point standings. He now has a 45-point lead over Ron Hornaday. You see, some of the positions have changed. Eric Darnell has been our big mover. Rick Crawford has lost 3 positions. But the big story is up at the top, and I believe Adam Alexander is standing by with the Truck Series hottest driver.
And everybody talking about Johnny Benson going for 4 in a row tonight. But what about 2 in a row here at Bristol, starting on the outside of row 1? What's the biggest challenge you face this evening, JB?
There's a lot of challenges tonight, that's for sure. But I feel a lot better going into this week than I did last week. And tripping the guys this week in and week out give me great trucks to race. And, you know, I'm glad if we didn't get the pole, Scott Speed, our teammates on the inside. So I feel good about that. That's fine because, you know, if something happens here, you can fall back to 10th in a heartbeat. So, but the outside of this track's pretty good, and really got to thank Exide Batteries for coming on board, who did all their plant tours and all that stuff yesterday and learned how to build batteries and things of this nature. That's pretty cool. So it's hopefully it can be a great night, but it can always go the other way too. But we're optimistic, and we'll see if we can get 4 in a row. I think that'd be neat. But in the same token, it's going to be tough.
Johnny Benson mentioned his teammate Scott Speed on the pole. His other teammate may be able to give him some advice about going for 4 in a row. Skinner's done it a couple of times, Ray Dunlap.
We'll talk to him, Adam. He's back in 95. You dominated this race. You just killed him. But I haven't felt a great vibe in the 5 camp today. What's going on over there?
Well, Bill Davis Racing has got 2 trucks running really, really good right now. The 23 and the 22 is really going good, and the 5 is really struggling. So we totally missed the setup here at Bristol this time, but we got what we got. We got about a 15th place truck, so hopefully we can miss a couple of wrecks and get up there and get us top 10 out of here and try to keep the points alive anyway. But that's the way it is.
Mike Skinner starts 14th tonight. He's always good at this track. I bet he finishes a lot better than where he starts. Krista?
Thanks, Ray. Yeah, we mentioned how he has tried to go for 4 in a row before a couple of times. There you see how our drivers have fared. Those are the guys who have gone for 4 in a row and where they finished in that 4th attempt. Johnny Benson, of course, the guy trying to top those numbers. Those are very good. All top 5s. Johnny Benson wants more than that. He wants to defend his win here at Bristol. But it won't be just Johnny Benson or the Skinners, even the Hornadays who are in the mix. What about the fact that we have got Kyle Busch in this field? He has Bristol in his blood. We mentioned Scott Speed. He brings that European flair. And, oh, yeah, he's right behind me on the pole. We also have a Canadian driver in the mix. So many guys. You're going to hear from him as the setup returns, including a 2-time Cup champion making his Truck Series debut.
Coming up next on the setup, we may not have an event in the Olympics, but that does not mean that us NASCAR drivers are not athletes.
I invite any one of them, anybody that says we're not, to come out here one day.
A race car driver is more of an athlete than any sport I've ever had the chance to play.
And also, coming up, me, Jimmy Johnson. I've spent the last 9 years running nationwide cars and Cup cars, and now I want a piece of the action of the Truck Series. All of this, plus lots more of Bristol bumping and banging when the setup returns. Only on Speed.
The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series setup is brought to you by the Jack Championship Barbecue, new at TGI Fridays restaurants. Give me more Fridays. By Craftsman. Craftsman tools are the official tools of NASCAR. Craftsman at Sears. And by Aaron Sales and Lease Ownership. Nobody beats Aaron's, nobody.
Just like in Atlanta last March. He's not going to be able to do it. I don't think you're sad about it. Here he comes.
Jimmy Johnson has driven the wheels off his Chevy. He's got the inside. They touch once, twice. Drag race. Jimmy Johnson.
Whoa. By a fender. Jimmy Johnson is the 2006 NASCAR Nextel Cup Series champion.
You guys are awesome. Thank you, boys. We're going to tear it up tonight. Nothing like back-to-back championship.
You know, a gentleman from Kenya ran the half mile in 1 minute 44 seconds today. Tonight, that distance will be covered in 16 seconds, 200 times. The birdcage at Beijing, the track and field venue, that is impressive. But this, what you're looking at right now, the world's fastest half mile. Welcome back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series setup from Bristol. We don't have a Phelps or a Shawn Johnson, but as you saw, we do have a Jimmy Johnson in the field tonight. You know, Johnson has done what only 15 other drivers have done, win multiple Cup championships. Something he has not done ever is race a truck. Ray Dunlap is standing by with our, dare I say, rookie.
Hey, Krista, you know, a few years ago, Jeffrey Bodine became Jeffrey. He used to be Jeff, and some people call him Jimmy Johnson, but on top of your door it says Jim. And I remember when you were a little boy, your dad used to call you that when you got in trouble. Are you thinking you're going to be in trouble tonight or what?
There's a good chance. I thought I would have some fun with it. My wife's been calling me Jim lately, and just a chance to have fun with the trucks and come out and do that. So I'm shocked you picked up on it. It kind of looks cool up on top, and we'll just have fun tonight. And if I make people mad, I'm sure they'll call me other things that are usually 4-letter words.
Can you learn something tonight it'll help you this weekend?
I think so. I think that the rhythm of this racetrack, I figured something out with my line around the track. The truck has similar grip through the center of the turn, which I found kind of shocking between the two vehicles. Horsepower is way different, so that side of it's not going to help me, but I really think it'll help tonight. Regardless, I'm with a great team. These guys have worked their butts off today, and we've worked on a tight race truck all day long, and we're getting closer. So tonight we should be competitive.
He's been pretty good in the Sprint Cup Series tonight. Jim Johnson makes his Truck Series debut. Krista?
That's what I was just going to say. Can Jim Johnson win this race? Here's a list of how past Cup champions have fared when they come back into the Truck Series. There you see, they've done pretty well for the most part. Jimmy Johnson looking for some valuable experience and that win. But hey, Jim Johnson, not the only fresh face in tonight's race. Adam has another Cup driver standing by with him.
Yeah, Patrick Carpentier has become a household name in NASCAR, Sprint Cup, nationwide, but never in a truck. Why tonight here at Bristol, Patrick?
Because this is the first race that was here earlier this year, and they told me you know, you got to go practice. Even if we send you there testing for a few days, there's nothing like running a truck in traffic. And I've seen a few races on TV, so traffic's pretty rough here. So I guess we'll learn a few things.
Experience is everything. He starts 25th tonight.
Thanks, Adam. We're excited to have Carpentier in our Truck Series field. You know, one of the great debates, a question we always hear posed, are race car drivers athletes? Now, if you Google that and try to find out, you'll get several different interpretations. You also find out the definition of athlete's foot, but that is altogether something different. Back to the original topic, are race car drivers athletes? We posed that question to our drivers.
Just stay in the car, please. I can't, man. Okay, so come on out there.
Oh, I'm beat, dude. I had plenty of fluids. I just couldn't cool down, you know.
A refreshing drink and a deep breath.
Give me 5 minutes, I'll be ready.
I was in trouble from about lap 5. My helmet wasn't working, really hot in the car, and got blisters on my back, on my butt, everywhere you can think of. But like Bill Engel kept me going. I said, I sure am going to enjoy. If we can get this thing this win, I'll enjoy Monday in the hospital.
What an example of courage and perseverance. We have one spent athlete here in Victory Lane.
Racing is way more of an athletic sport. And define athletic. What makes Mo Vaughn an athlete and Carl Lewis? They don't look alike, but they're both athletes. It's hand-eye coordination. It's that innate ability to do something better than somebody else. I invite any one of them, anybody that says we're not, to come out here one day. Say you go to a Daytona in July, or you go to Bristol and you get beat on for 2, 3, 4 hours, and when you get out, figure out if you're not in good shape, how bad you feel.
Anybody that can sit in a 140-degree cockpit for 2.5 to 3 hours in length.
There's no timeouts. There's no calling in a sub. There's no going, hey, coach, give me a breather.
Take a look at Jason Luffer. I mean, this guy is so hot. He's been dumping water all over his legs, down across his face.
You definitely got to be in a good endurance kind of condition to be able to sit there and just sit in that kind of heat for that long. Certainly not at the level like an Olympic sprinter or something like that is, but I think it's more endurance than it is raw power.
I'm in pretty good shape, but I don't do my 5 miles a day. I don't do none of that stuff, but I'm going to stay active. So it's definitely a sport. It's more mental.
I'd hate to go up against a fight of a race car driver. I don't care how little, big, tall, whatever he is, he's going to give you a fight. He will mentally beat you up.
A race car driver is more of an athlete than any sport I've ever had the chance to play. And I played college football, I played college basketball.
Brendan Gaughan, a 5'9" walk-on last year, hits the bucket.
Biggest thing I can tell people is the ramifications of our sport. Let's say a batter steps up to the plate, hits a pop-up fly ball. It's an out. You lose a game. What happens if you're at Talladega with 5 laps to go and you're hot and you're tired and there's no timeouts and you haven't got out of this race car and you make a mental mistake? You're 4 wide, you're on the bottom, you turn up and you wreck 15 to 20 race cars. You can kill someone. The ramifications of a mental error in our sport are way bigger than any other.
Well, it certainly poses a very interesting question. So let's send it upstairs. Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, Michael Waltrip. Phil, Michael, of course, drivers. Rick Allen, a 3-time All-American decathlon competitor. So, guys, who's the athlete?
Well, I'll throw the question right to Michael first. I mean, Michael, what do you think? Drivers are the athletes?
Definitely. You have to have 3 things to be successful in this sport. And one is strength. You got to be strong enough to drive your truck. You have to have endurance. You got to last sometimes 500 laps on a tight little track. Tonight we're 250. That doesn't make it any less challenging. And then thirdly, you got to be mentally tough. In order to have success here at Bristol tonight, you got to match all those things together, right. And your mental game has to be right on top of itself. So there's not a better explanation of an athletic feat than to combine those things to have success.
Right. All characteristics. Now, Phil, obviously back in '82, you won the nationwide race here. What kind of an athlete do you have to be to win this race?
Well, I think you have to be an athlete to run this race, to run the distance, as Michael was saying. And this is probably the most physically challenging racetrack that these guys will run all year. You go to Talladega, it's emotionally exhausting. Right. But you come here and it's physically challenging, and you don't get any rest. You know, if you get a caution flag, they have rules here that you can't come down the wrong pit road or you could be penalized. Right. So you have to be thinking all the time here. And these guys have to be on top of their game. As Brendan said, you make a mental mistake here, and it's gonna affect a lot of other people, and you can't do that.
Well, in television, we can call a timeout. And I'm going to send it right back to you, Krista.
All right, thank you. And you guys talked about how incredibly challenging this racetrack is. Well, let's take advantage of the fact we are the only truly mobile pre-race show. So let's go ahead and walk on this track. You see, I'm just coming off the track onto the apron. I have only not even taken 1, 2, 3 steps up this track. I am already completely sideways, completely leaning back, and I still have this much track to go. I'm winded after 3 steps. I'm completely standing sideways. Try putting 36 trucks inches apart, 200 laps, 16-second laps. You're in for quite a show. More of the setup from Bristol right after this.
The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series setup is brought to you by Papa John's. Order by text message or online at papajohns.com. By Craftsman. Craftsman tools are the official tools of NASCAR. Craftsman at Sears. And by the Jack Championship Barbecue. New at TGI Fridays restaurants. Give me more Fridays.
Well, we love bragging about the guys who sponsor our race teams, like Conway Freight, sponsor of Colin Brown's number 6 Ford. Brown is normally employed as the Truck Series driver. Recently, he tried driving some new vehicles, including the forklift and the big rig down at the Conway Freight plant in Memphis. Not sure if you'll see Colin cruising down any of the interstates anytime soon. And as the Conway Freight transporter pulls out there at the plant in Memphis, we return here to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series setup in Bristol, but we are joined by Conway Freight President John Labrie down in Houston. He's down there because they are getting ready for the National Truck Driving Championships. We have the Truck Driving Championship going on here. You guys, John, have one big down there. How big are the bragging rights for this event?
Well, Krista, it's great to be with you. We have 67 of Conway Freight's best drivers from throughout North America here in Houston at Slick Willie's Family Pool Hall tonight. We're thrilled to be here competing at the National Championships here in Houston.
Well, tell us a little bit about the event. You talked about it. You've got your Conway Freight drivers competing in it. They have to do skills tests. I know we look back. We were kind of joking today. Remember when Greg and Marsha Brady were going through the cones? They couldn't knock off the egg. It's a little bit like that. I mean, these guys' safety is huge for your company and for the Truck Driving Championship.
Krista, it really is the Super Bowl of safety within the trucking industry. It tests their driving skills as well as their knowledge of safety in the overall industry in both written and oral examinations. So it is a great test of talent, and it is a fantastic way to determine just who the best truck drivers in America are.
Well, just a moment ago, while we were listening to you speak, we saw your driver, Colin Brown, getting ready for his race tonight. Yeah, the Super Bowl, that is a great way to put it. It's so important. And I know your guys, your employees, they really get into NASCAR. This has become a really big deal, your sponsorship with this race truck.
You're right, Krista. We have many, many employees that are huge NASCAR fans. Our customers are huge NASCAR fans. Colin has been a fantastic representative of Conway Freight, and we are really excited about partnering with Roush Fenway Racing for yet another great year of the number 6 truck and Colin Brown in it.
Okay, one more thing, too. I know a lot of times, anytime we go down the interstate, we'll probably see Conway Freight vehicles. People will probably notice them all the time now. I know, before we say goodbye to you, I think you guys have, look at all the guys behind you. I believe you have a message. Is that correct?
Well, we have a message for you and the viewers on Speed, Krista, as well as Colin tonight. The 67 state champions behind me have something they want to say. Team?
Thank you very much, John Labrie, the president of Conway Freight, and he talked about the safety of his company. Let's put this into perspective. How safe are they? Over 2 million miles. That is the miles driven by Conway Freight drivers before they ever had an accident. To put that in perspective, that's the distance from the Earth to the moon, almost 9 times before getting an accident. Here at Bristol, we'll probably have an accident in like 2 laps in 1 mile compared to 2 million miles. Impressive indeed. And Ray, I believe, are you standing by with that driver who just got that huge message from Houston?
Well, we hope he got the message, Krista. The guy's rooting you on, no doubt about that. A lot of people in the stands rooting for you tonight. Can you win this race tonight at Bristol?
Well, you know, this number 6 truck has always been fast here. And, you know, having Conway Freight on the side of this truck tonight, having all those drivers down at Houston, Texas at Slick Willie's. We're pretty excited about it. Just to have all those guys watch on TV guarantees me some fans. We've got our special fans back here, so should be a fun night for us. We're looking forward to it, and I know my crew chief's got this thing pretty tuned up for tonight.
All right, we'll be watching at number 6. Conway Freight starting back here, and all the way up at the front is the number 22, and I think that's where Adam is.
Indeed the case. Scott Speed with his first career pole. First time he's been in a truck since mid-June at Michigan. And this place, anything but Michigan. What's the biggest challenge you face here tonight?
Honestly, I'd say consistency. I mean, in practice, we unload a top 5, and, so obviously, for me, it's not, it makes my life a lot easier when the guys get the truck right. And it's just been trying to keep the balance right. It's gone up and down, loose, tight. To get the balance right is going to be really important. Obviously, we hit it for qualifying. I think to hit it for the race is going to be important. If not, we're in a good position. We need to stay in the front of the field and stay out of the junk and, hopefully be there for the end.
3 wins in the ARCA REMAX Series since he last raced in the trucks, and he starts on the pole tonight. Krista, I guess we could say welcome back, Scott Speed.
I guess we could indeed. Thank you very much, Adam. And yeah, that interview, by the way, how close are we to the action? Adam's right back there with Scott Speed, our pole sitter. Very cool indeed. And this race is about to go green. And how big of a deal is it? Well, in the truck series, our chase begins tonight, 10 to go. This is the tightest points battle. It happens on a short track with short tempers and long implications. Jimmy Johnson is here. He wants to go truck racing with guys like Johnny Benson. More of the setup from Bristol on Speed right after this. Woo!
Leader Johnny Benson leads the trucks into St. Louis as the defending race winner. Can JB continue his summer hot streak?
3 in a row for Benson.
Or will a new contender emerge to tighten the points battle? All the action starts with the setup at 2, live on Speed.
So that's our next truck series race. Plenty of racing still to come this weekend. The nationwide race, of course, the cup race, but it all gets started tonight. The trucks on Wednesday in Bristol. Do we get you close to the action? Look at the pace truck. They're ready to kick us out of here. Jimmy Johnson, Johnny Benson, the rest of the field go racing right now.
Set to go racing in Bristol. Trying to close in on the pack.
Tonight, the closest points battle in NASCAR continues at Thunder Valley. A pivotal short track race for points contenders looking to make a bang.
It may be a short track, but it is big on action. Welcome to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series O'Reilly 200, presented on Speed by Camping World RV Sales. Bristol, Tennessee, the side of this one. A gorgeous evening for racing under the lights at Bristol Motor Speedway, 84 degrees. The forecast partly cloudy, but that won't dampen the spirits of anyone in attendance here. And obviously, those of you watching at home are going to see a great race when we come to a short track like Bristol Motor Speedway. Hello, everyone. I'm Rick Allen alongside of Michael Waltrip and Phil Parsons. Now, we come to a short track, obviously. This one has been changed, Phil. Has that changed the philosophy of the drivers?
Well, it really has. In 2006, Mark Martin knew the recipe to win this race. He ran it like a road course. They started at 200 laps, backed it up till they got in their fuel window. He pitted around lap 35, stayed on the racetrack track position, and won the race. Last year, they reconfigured this racetrack, completely repaved it. It's not rough anymore. It's a 2-lane racetrack at least. And last year, Johnny Benson pitted on lap number 105, restarted 17th, Michael, and he came back and won that race.
But 1 year does not a trend make, Phil. So these guys are starting this race a little bit blind. They don't know if they need to pit on lap 35 like Mark did and win, or if they need to wait later like Johnny did. So that's what's going to make tonight's race interesting and a lot of fun to follow. What strategy will it take to get to victory lane at Bristol?
Now, one of the things, obviously, you guys have both raced this racetrack. You've won here. And the one difficult thing that always comes up is getting onto pit road. Did you ever miss pit road?
Oh, of course. I think we all have. Jeff Gordon is one of the greatest drivers in the history of NASCAR. He ran around 2 or 3 laps trying to figure out. You are so into what you're doing. It's tense. It happens quick. That's when your crew chief, your spotter, your team really needs to back the driver up. They need to say, look, dude, we're going to pit in 10 laps. Remember, we pit off turn 2. We're going to be pitting right there. You know, just constant communication is extremely important here at Bristol.
And the problem is it's different under green and then under caution.
And another
different rules.
Another problem is you can't hear. It's loud here.
Well, we can hear, and we're going to get this thing underway. Let's go trackside for our pre-race activities.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the presentation of colors by the Dobbins-Bennett High School Junior ROTC. Remain standing and remove your caps for tonight's invocation by David Chenault, pastor of Center Point Fellowship.
Heavenly Father, we come into your presence tonight with adoration and praise. We thank you so much for letting us be here. You're such a great God. Lord, I thank you for all the staff and all the volunteers that have made this possible. Lord, and now I pray for each driver, each crew member, and all the race fans as we enjoy this evening. May God bless America. In your name we pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please remain standing, remove your hats, and we invite you to cover your heart as Jamie Wolf, rising country music star from Charlotte, North Carolina, sings our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming.
Thunderous applause from Thunder Valley. The driver's about to climb into their trucks. We're going to let them do that. When we come back, it will be time to fire the engines.
The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series is presented on Speed by Camping World RV Sales. Everyday low prices guaranteed. Brought to you in part by MSD Ignition, your exclusive source for performance electronics. And by the strikingly original Flex from Ford. Drive one.
Welcome back to the world's fastest half mile. Let's take a look at the statistics that go behind that name as we look at our Camping World track description.
This is a track like no other that I've ever seen in the world. You can see 36-degree banking in the corner. It's actually progressive banking, but it's mostly 36 degrees at the top, and front straightaways bank just enough to get you into the inside wall.
And you know, we're going around here so fast, it all happens in a hurry. It becomes a blur. You exit turn 4, and you think, okay, good, I made it. Oh, wait, there's turn 1. I got to get after this one.
About a second and a half later.
It just happens so quick. Everything does here at Bristol.
And amazingly enough, it's 200 laps. Let's take a look at our Camping World race analysis. Again, 200 laps. There'll be 36 trucks starting this one. Just over 100 miles, 106.6 miles because of the .533-mile racetrack.
As you can see, the pit window's about 140 to 160 laps. But, Michael, I don't think anybody wants to wait that long to pit. We saw Johnny win last year pitting on lap number 105. I think you want to pit at least by around lap 105 or thereabouts.
Yeah, we didn't think Johnny could win with that strategy back here a year ago. And I think tonight you're going to need to pit before that time. Maybe around 90, maybe 105 is okay, but definitely, like you said, Phil, no later.
Tires becoming a premium then here at Bristol.
Well, they are, and in fact, you can pass. That's the key, is the fact that you can pass here now.
And so passing obviously will be what Jimmy Johnson is going to try to do as he'll start back in the field just a bit further. No one has won outside the top 3 in the past 6 races. Let's find out how they fire them up. Let's go down for the command.
We've all been waiting for O'Reilly 200 Grand Marshal Jimmy O'Neill.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Passing at a premium from Bristol Motor Speedway, we're going to see the green flag when we come back to Bristol, Tennessee. Welcome back. The O'Reilly 200 presented on Speed by Camping World RV sales about to get underway. The truck's about to roll out onto the track. Let's show you how they will start this race. The starting grid will roll across the bottom of the screen. Making his first ever start out front will be Scott Speed. That's the first career pole in his 8 starts in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. This one under the lights here at Bristol Motor Speedway. We're actually going to be shining a spotlight on a few different drivers tonight. Ray Dunlap, I believe you got the 41 in your spotlight.
Yeah, I do, Rick, and that's Taylor Malsom, and he drives for CHS Motorsports. That's Cunningham, Hartman, and Shear, a brand new team, and they plan on running the entire season next year. But this year, it's only going to be 5 starts for Taylor because they want to keep his rookie status. Now, this group brought 9 trucks from Evernham Motorsports, and they also have an association with Penske Motorsports. They're going to do some development drivers in this.
Talk about Patrick Carpentier. He's going to be driving the SMS Equipment Dodge for BHR. Patrick won the pole for the Sprint Cup race this year at Loudon. He also finished second in both nationwide races that have been held at Montreal. His best Cup finish this year is 14th at Daytona in July. And because of rain this spring, he told us, he only got 13 laps of practice. He's doing this just to get some track time in preparation for the Sprint Cup race this weekend, and he will start 25th. Mikey.
Thanks, PP. My guy is Brian Silas. He's starting back, deep in the pack, but nevertheless, this is his 5th Truck Series start. He's sponsored by Rockingham Speedway. Had a great ARCA race down there earlier this year. He's an infrequent competitor, but I love this kid. He and his dad are all about racing. They're all in, and it's good to see this hot-looking number 48 truck get a start here at Bristol tonight.
We're going to have a lot of cameras that are going to be showing all of the different angles, and we have 6 of them that will be on board with drivers tonight. One of those being carried by Mike Skinner, Colin Brown, John West Townley, Todd Bodine, and Ron Hornaday, and Ted Musgrave, all carrying cameras that we will be getting great shots from this evening. Back trackside to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, there have been 18 drivers in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series that have won in all 3 of NASCAR's top divisions. We're talking about Sprint Cup, Nationwide, and the Craftsman trucks. But there could be a number 19 tonight. Now, when we look at the big list, check out Mark Martin with 90 career total wins. That's pretty impressive. But you see the guy in yellow? Jim Johnson, 36 total wins, but he's never won in Craftsman trucks. Why? Because tonight is his debut. If he's able to win tonight, he'll add his name to a very, very, very impressive list. I'm not sure if Jimmy Johnson's going to win tonight, but I can tell you this, his crew certainly gets the award for the absolute biggest pit box in Truck Series history. Adam?
And Jimmy Johnson knows one thing from all his Sprint Cup Series experience here at Thunder Valley. The easiest place for a driver to pass right here on pit road. And so with that, he's brought 7 of his best friends with him from the Sprint Cup Series tonight, the guys that go over the wall and pit that Sprint Cup car for him on Sunday afternoons. Chad Knaus' crew chief is even here. All the winning ingredients for Jimmy Johnson, who starts 9th in his NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series debut at Bristol. Guys?
Now, Chad Knaus is actually helping out with this truck tonight with Jimmy behind the wheel.
Yeah, Eric Phillips is a crew chief on this Morgan Dollar truck, and as you see, Chad, give him the signal there.
I know Jimmy and Chad's relationship is solid, but I do a TV show every Monday on Speed with Chad, and he can't. He's going to try to run the show. He's going to act like he knows exactly what has to happen to win this race.
Yeah.
And we've already talked, Bill. We do this all the time, and we don't know. Yeah, there's no telling what strategy is going to go into winning this race, but that's cool to have Chad, down there helping Jimmy and those guys try to figure out what that strategy is going to be.
Qualified 9th in this race. What is he going to have to do to get out front and lead laps?
Well, I love this track now. We're going to see three wide racing. The nationwide race here last fall, they came to the checkered 3 wide for the win. So I can't predict what we're going to see. I just know it's going to be fun to watch.
We're going to see short track racing, and it's NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series style. Randy Kaiser brings the pace truck off of the racing surface. Scott Speed has him behind him, and the green flag is out for Bristol. We're underway.
Bill, I remember a year ago, we could not wait for this first lap. We wanted to see on this new surface what would happen when they got done in turn 1. We saw the guy on the outside at Bristol lead the first lap. It happened again.
Yeah, and it never happened prior to last year.
Never.
I'll tell you what, Johnny Benson got into the side of Scott when they came out of 2. He got sideways. He's still fighting that race truck. Here comes Kyle Busch, taking second away from Scott Speed.
Scott looks like he's just trying to get his legs up under him, figure out what it takes to race here at Bristol. One thing, Phil, to qualify here, but darn, the racing gets crazy.
Oh, yeah, and these trucks are set up so they're going to be really loose at the beginning of this race because when they burn the fuel off, they get tighter as you go. So these guys are going to have a handful early on.
Doesn't look like Johnny Benson's got a handful. He's driving away from the field. Look at this truck. He's got 15, 20 truck lengths ahead of Kyle Busch, and we know what kind of job Kyle's going to do tonight. He's going to be all over it all night.
We are still seeing bumping and making 3 wide coming out of turn number 2. It is getting crazy on the racetrack. Take a look at this.
Rick Crawford, the 14th. Ooh, look at the little touch right there from the 08 into David Starr.
It's beginning with a little touch. I think there's going to be some bumping and banging real soon.
Oh, we got a flat tire off turn 2.
Left front tire. Left front's
down.
Look at all the damage on that truck already.
That all happened coming off turn 2.
And right now, if Eric Darnell comes down pit road, more than likely he's going to lose at least 2 laps, and that's going to make it so difficult for him to get the lucky dog.
Yeah, because these guys are going to, as fast as Johnny Benson, Kyle Busch, and these guys up front are running, they're going to catch the back of this field in a hurry. He's going to lose probably 3 laps, Phil.
He's headed down to you, Ray.
Truck lifted up to get the jack under. It may be 5 laps before.
It's amazing how quick things happen here. Watch this now. See Eric on the outside, and the 11 gets sideways. David Starr gets sideways. That's where the contact came from, and that created a 3 wide thing. And there's the 48 of Brian Sellers. That was your spotlight guy, Michael. He's got her turned around over there and coming off turn 2.
It's a good-looking truck. Going back to finish the Eric Darnell story, he wound up losing 3 laps. Huge break right here, Phil. This gets him one of them back in a hurry. No one else off the lead lap. So now he's only 2 down. He's got a fighting chance. Not a real good chance, but he's at least got a fighting chance now to get back on the lead lap before this thing's over.
First caution comes out, lap number 9. We'll be right back. Tomorrow night, get wrecked on Speed, ride shotgun with a crew who cleans up the ugly mess left behind by Chicago motorists. From extracting a car wedged in a house to handling angry customers. No job's too tough for O'Hare Towing. Wrecked life in the crash lane. Tomorrow night, 10 Eastern. Going to get new episodes returning August 28th. Right.
Hey, Rick, if you take a look at the left rear on Johnny Benson's X-Side Toyota, you'll notice a little bit of damage there. But Spotter got on and said he doesn't believe it got into the tire at all. Apparently that happened on the start of the race right there. You see them going to the outside of the 22. They bump a little bit. They think it did not get into the tire any, but they have been talking to Johnny and saying, be careful. If you feel anything weird, let us know. But right now it appears no big problem.
Green flag back in the air from Bristol.
Yeah, I think if he had a slow leak, we would already know it, Michael. We've run 12 laps now, actually 13, so we would know if he had a slow leak.
Well, and his truck was mowing. I mean, he was driving away from him. Now on this restart, Kyle Busch is able to hang right with Johnny. A little bit high. Kyle gets off turn 4 there. Johnny opens up a truck length or two from him.
I know he's not sneaking up on anybody, but has anybody noticed where Jim Johnson's running right now? He's moved up to 6th already here.
Well, he got 2 extra spots at the very beginning because the 9 of Justin Marks had to go to the back because of using the backup truck. So that actually had Jimmy starting this race 2 spots ahead of where he qualified.
But Big Jim is all over Ron Hornaday. So I talked to Jimmy earlier.
Team truck right behind Jimmy Johnson.
In this race, quite a bit shorter than what he's used to. Obviously, only going 200 laps as opposed to the 500 that will go on Saturday.
Yeah, you've got to get it done in a hurry. He knows he's going to get 1, maybe 2 pit stops to adjust on that truck. If that thing's going to stay tight all night, then he's going to be in trouble.
Side-by-side racing here. Ted Musgrave almost getting into that Dodge just outside of him. Patrick Carpentier. Tight corners here, but obviously we've talked about the banking allowing them to run side by side now.
Yeah, you know, when we do a truck race, a broadcast from the truck event, generally we watch the monitors, but I can't stand it, Rick. All the action, it's all right there in front of us. You can just look out and see so many things going on. That's why it's such, you appreciate the work our cameramen are doing right now. Split screen, battles all over the place, and
Mikey, that's a great battle right there with Todd Bodine in that 30 and Ron Hornaday in the 33. They made a little contact a couple times going in turn number 3.
I saw Ron had him up off the ground, it looked like, when they went down into turn 3. And Jimmy Johnson had fallen off that battle, and this allowed him to catch back up to these guys.
Todd has moved up the racetrack now, and it looks like his truck's going a little bit better up there than it was down on the bottom.
Well, the multi-grooves that this track now has, it's a race car driver's dream. You know, we talked about, you saw all the Cup and Nationwide action last week from Michigan. Right. These guys, they race all over that track. Same thing here at Bristol. Todd's way up the hill. Look at Ron, way down on the bottom, and Jim's right somewhere in between.
You know, Ron keeps wiggling down on the bottom. Is it a situation where he needs to move up and try to find a new line around the track?
He did that very lap right there, so we're going to see. Ron will search around a little bit for some grip out there.
Never seen him run a little bit higher on the racetrack, and Jim Johnson right on his back bumper.
It looks like Ron's truck's a little bit loose, Phil.
It really does. And most of the guys in the garage are talking to Mike Bean. You see him wiggle right there. He said this racetrack got looser last year than it was during the day. He said a lot of people, including us, really thought it was going to tighten up. It actually got looser as we see Jimmy Johnson take over that spot from the 33 of Ron Hornaday.
You know, again, and speaking to Jimmy, he's like, I can't wait to mix it up with these guys. And driving around Hornaday right here, 24 laps into the race, that's fun. That's what he's looking for.
See another gaggle of trucks back here running side by side.
There's Eric Darnell, the 99. As we mentioned, he did get the lucky dog.
Wow.
Carpentier, big time loose.
But now, Phil, his worst nightmares happen. The leaders have started overtaking trucks near the rear. So we have a couple of trucks that are 1 down. Eric's 2 down. So therefore, it's going to make it difficult for him to get that Aaron's lucky dog again.
And that'll probably stay like that all night, too. Let's watch back here a few laps ago on the right-hand side of your screen. See the 04 Carpentier gets a little bit loose on the bottom of the 99 of Eric Darnell.
Now, is that a situation where he hit that darker asphalt down there? I mean, it's a concrete racetrack, but it looked like he went a little bit too low and shot back up the track.
Yeah, I think he just pinched it. You know, he said he was going to be here to learn how to race, and that's what he's doing right now. He dove down, pinched it a little bit low in the turn, and it got loose with him. We saw Hornaday running low on the track.
Oh, look at Johnny.
Johnny Benson all over the racetrack. Kyle Busch just got into the back of him.
You can see the left rear tire on Johnny Benson. All the letters have rubbed off of it, so obviously there's been some contact made there right in the left rear corner.
That happened early on in the race. Actually, the start of the race, they were talking about that damage to the left rear of that truck. It's worn off the lettering, but now Kyle Busch all over our leader, going for the lead. Kyle Busch here at Bristol.
Got a lap truck right there, a potential lap truck of Justin Marks, the 9 right in front of him. See which way Justin goes.
The 51 truck is a lot faster than Johnny right now. Just drives around the outside of it. Watch, he dives to the bottom of Justin Marks as they get down into turn 3.
You guys remember Martinsville between these two. There was a little bit of an incident there.
Watch this now. We'll see Kyle down on the bottom of the racetrack. Now he's down there. Then Johnny said, I'm going to dime in this corner. I'm going to try to go up high and then come down on the bottom. And that's when they made the contact.
And Kyle would say, that was your fault, Johnny.
Yeah.
And Johnny would say, I'm leading the race. Why are you running into me, Kyle? A difference of opinion for sure.
Adam Alexander.
And for Kyle Busch, he's out front here at Bristol for the first time ever in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Entering tonight, 262 laps led in NASCAR in both the Nationwide and Sprint Cup Series. And tonight, a win would put him in a category with Carl Edwards and Mark Martin, the only 2 drivers to win here at Thunder Valley in all 3 of NASCAR's top touring series, Ray.
Adam, Johnny Benson's spotter came on and said, dude, I should have told you the 51 was coming. And Johnny said, I knew he was there. He said, you know that's the way he's going to drive. But he said, do me a favor, go over and remind his spotter that we're running for a championship here. He said, pretty soon that kid needs to learn that.
I think that message has been delivered a few times to the 51 group, but maybe hasn't been taken in.
It probably took Johnny Benson about 4 laps to say that. You tell the 51, then you got to go through a corner. But I said, you know, that happens that fast.
We're going to catch our breath. You catch your breath. We'll be right back with more from Bristol after this. Welcome back. Second caution of the night has come out. It was the 6th, the Conway Freight Ford F-150 of Colin Brown, who had problems, got into the wall. A lot of damage to that truck, and now we see the trucks on pit road. Adam Alexander.
And the man leading him down the pit lane for the first time tonight, this guy, Kyle Busch, a little bit tight on that first run. Richie Waters said, do you want the track bar? He said, no, just air pressure. 4 tires and fuel at lap 42 for the leader, Ray Dunlap.
1/2 a pound out of the left rear. That'll help loosen up Johnny Benson just a little bit. He said he's good on his entry, but a little bit tight coming off. This will be 4 tires. Remember, a year ago, they pitted at 104. Trip Cruz said this year we'll do whatever the leader did. They came in behind the 51. It'll be interesting to see a little bit of a jam up for Benson. He's going to lose 3 spots on pit road.
3+, actually. One guy who stayed out on the racetrack, Jim Johnson. We keep calling him Jim. He put Jim on the side of his truck, so that's why we're
It's
calling
still Jimmy Johnson. It's Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
Guys, let's take a look back at maybe what happened to the 6 of Colin Brown. You see him, he's already into the inside wall. Not sure. More than likely, there was probably some contact coming off turn number 4. And Colin hit really, really hard on the inside wall. There he is right now racing the 87 of Chris Jones. That's a lap truck right there.
Oh, he just comes up and gets on the inside of the lap truck. That's all on Colin right there. You know, he just lost. He was driving his truck hard. It got sideways, made contact, and shot him down into that inside wall. And it's ended his night. I mean, they might get that thing repaired, but that's even questionable.
Yeah, that's a lot of that truck is more than likely ruined.
Yeah, there's some serious damage to the rear end of that truck. It looks like the right side.
Those look like little spacemen working on his truck. In the
spacesuits.
Silver suits they had going on.
Our Aaron's lucky dog goes to Taylor Malsom in the 41, so he'll get a lap back.
I think it's really interesting to see that, we talked earlier in the race, we didn't know what strategy it would take to win the race. Jimmy's decided to stay out. Kenny Schrader stayed right with him also. These guys are electing to run up front here for a little while and pit later, but I like pitting right now. I think getting your tires right now, getting your work done, and just racing to the end is the right strategy.
Saturday, the race to the chase takes a treacherous turn through Thunder Valley. Only one pre-race show can handle the world's fastest half mile, where dreams of victory can be dashed and chase hopes can be crushed. NASCAR race day built by the Home Depot. Live coverage begins Saturday night, 5 Eastern. Again, we talk about Jimmy Johnson staying on the racetrack, right?
And here's the situation. Eric Phillips, his crew chief, said, last year I pitted early and it bit me. He said, I really didn't want to come into about 75 or 80. We're going to stick with our strategy. I think our truck's good enough, and more trucks will get a lap down. We're going to be just fine. Don't worry about it.
So they stick with it. Jimmy Johnson gets back in the gas. Green flag back in the air here in Bristol. Well, in his first ever race, he's allowed a lap.
Kenny Schrader right now, as Michael said, is on the same strategy. He stayed out on the racetrack. Right now, Dennis Setzer is that truck on the bottom of the racetrack, gets by Kenny Schrader. and also Kyle Busch.
Yeah, and Dennis Setzer so strong in both of our practices today. It looked like he might be the truck to beat here at this short track.
Yeah, right now he's got the 51 truck all over him, Kyle Busch.
Running a little bit higher line there is Dennis Setzer in the 18, Kyle Busch in the 51 on his back bumper.
Kyle certainly isn't shy about running that thing down on the inside of Dennis Setzer. He's already made a little contact from Johnny Benson. Johnny voiced his opinion about how he felt about that, but Kyle's back at it right down on the inside of Dennis Setzer trying to make that move.
Remember 1 year ago when Johnny Benson won this race, with 20 laps to go, Travis Kvapil was leading the race. Contact from Kyle Busch turned him around, and that's what really allowed Johnny to get that victory.
Last time by, Jimmy Johnson clicked off a lap 16.185 seconds. So pretty good lap times for him who has older tires on his truck still.
Yeah, but 40, 50 laps on your tires isn't anything, Rick. What the concern is what your tires will be like when they've got 120 or 30 and you're running for the checker flag late in the race. That's what Eric Phillips is saying. He said, I want fresher tires at the end than I'm going to have if I pit right now. I'm sticking with my strategy.
Adam Alexander, what's the strategy for the 30 team?
It's such a huge advantage in a place like Bristol to start out front. His truck was not very good on that first run, pushing center off, but because they had a good starting position, he maintained 4 tires and fuel. They made a chassis adjustment at lap 42, and here Todd Bodine competing for a spot in the top 5, currently being scored in 4th.
These two still haven't decided who's going to be second yet. Kyle Busch on the bottom of the racetrack.
Well, we probably understand what Kyle's being very respectful of Dennis Setzer. He's not sliding up the hill trying to get in. Looks like he's got a bit of advantage going into 3. Can he pull off the pass? Yes, he makes that move. Now you watch him close down on Jim Johnson now. He's a straightaway behind, but now he's got that open track. He'll go get him.
Pretty good stretch between Jimmy Johnson and second place Kyle Busch. 2 seconds here at Thunder Valley. 2 seconds. That's huge at this half-mile racetrack. Well, we'll see if Kyle Busch can reel in the 2-time Sprint Cup Series champ. And a caution has just come out. We're going to stick with you here. It looks like Matt Craftsman has a problem with his 88 Chevrolet as well as that 41. It gets into the wall and some damage. So Taylor Malsom and Matt Craftsman involved in this, the 3rd caution of the night.
Yeah, Matt Craftsman, our 3rd place point guy right now, only 91 points out of the lead coming into this race. You see the damage to that Menard Chevrolet on the front. He was not having a very good night, and it just got worse.
We've got good shots of this. We want to let you see what just took place.
See, Matt's on the outside. He just gets by the 48 of Brian Silas. Little tap down there going in turn number 1.
Oh, it looked like Tyler had a flat tire.
Looked like he had a flat tire when he went in the corner. There was no contact with the side. There was no contact from Matt Craftsman that caused that tire to go down.
He just went straight up the hill. And Matt, you know, like you said, Rick, it happens so fast here at Bristol. You literally react, and it's too late. You can't do anything about it.
You have to have a premonition that somebody's going to have a problem to do something right here at Bristol Motor Speedway. We will now be right back after this.
On today's Tools of the Trade, I want to show you Craftsman's infrared thermometer. Now, this thing will get a temperature from up to 4 feet away. And you'll see guys using this at the racetrack a lot. You'll see them out on the pit road going like this, and that way they can tell exactly what the track temperature is. But you'll see the engine tuners using these a lot. You'll see them in there checking the temperature of the block. Now, the teams will come along and put their cool-down units on the engine and flow cold water in there to try to get ready to go for a qualifying run. So this gets used a lot at the racetrack, and it gives you a digital readout of exactly what the temperature is on your engine. But this also has a nice use for you at home. Let's say you're not quite sure if your air conditioner is working at its peak performance. Well, you just take this, point it up into one of the vents at your house, bring it down, and it says, it's 85 degrees coming out of there. That means your AC might need a tune-up.
Monday nights are a car lover's dream come true. 101 cars you must drive, from the stunning to the most unusual. Each car has a story, and comedian Alonzo Bowden tells them all like no one else. 101 cars you must drive with Alonzo Bowden, Monday night, 9 Eastern, only on Speed. Jimmy Johnson continuing to stay on the racetrack and stay in front of this field. at Bristol Motor Speedway. Kyle Busch giving chase. Welcome back to O'Reilly 200, presented on Speed by Camping World RV Sales. Jimmy Johnson in front of Kyle Busch on the racetrack. Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, before the race, I had a chance to go talk to Jimmy a little bit about what his strategies were tonight. He said, I've got quite a nice little checklist made, actually. And here's his checklist. It's the 81 hit list. Who all's he want to hit tonight? Well, he wants to get Hornaday. He's done that once. He wants to get Skinner for sure, and I haven't seen him yet. And then, well, there's Kyle Busch and Kyle Busch, Kyle Busch, and Kyle Busch. Now, he spent about an hour making this list earlier today, and he's actually got it on the tunnel on the inside of his truck, and he's got a little Sharpie like mine hanging on a string in there, so he's ready to check them off just like I'm doing at the same time. There you see the inside of his truck. There's his little checklist. You see his Sharpie hanging there, and also he's got all the names of everybody on the speed show tonight. You got your Radar, your Phil, your Rick, your Voda, your Adam, and your Michael Waltrip, just in case he forgot who all was on the show.
Hey, Ray, if it took him an hour to make that list, he's a pretty slow rider, because there's only about 5 or 6 numbers.
He had to put a lot of thought into it, Phil, just all who he was going to try to hit tonight.
Why was there a question mark beside your name, Michael?
I see that regularly.
There's always a question mark beside Michael's name.
People are still trying to figure out what I'm all about. I want to tell you what's getting ready to happen, though. Kyle Busch knows about that hit list, and he might just go ahead and give them another little shot.
Well, Jimmy might be doing the hitting. Green flag back in the air. A good restart for Jimmy Johnson. Again, Kyle Busch right on his back bumper. They're running 1 and 2. Todd Bodine is 3rd. Scott Speed 4th. Dennis Setzer is 5th.
I don't think Jimmy is going to really battle Kyle that long, because he knows he has to make a pit stop. Jimmy's going to have to come down pit road, more than likely probably the next caution flag, so I don't think he's going to really force the issue, although maybe he is going to force the issue a little bit.
I don't agree, Phil, and Jimmy's all about tonight. He wants to be the star of the show. He doesn't want Kyle Busch coming in there and messing up his story, and you can see there, he didn't roll over. He used that high line to hold Kyle off. He's all about doing some racing tonight, and Todd Bodine's taking advantage of the fact that the 51's trapped down on the bottom of the track trying to make a run on the outside with Big Jim. Jim gets loose into turn 1, though.
Loose getting in, but he battled back through the center and up off the corner.
He didn't get off the gas at all. He stays in it, stays on the outside of Kyle Busch, and here comes Todd Bodine to the high side. He's going to try to get by Kyle Busch as well.
People don't realize that right now, Jimmy Johnson's having a blast, is he not?
That's exactly what he's all about. And Kyle Busch is thinking, if I could just hook him a little bit, send him up the hill, I'll be on my merry way. I won't have to mess with all this stuff. But Todd Bodine takes advantage of the battle. Like I said, he's wanting to be a part of this story.
Side by side for second. Jimmy Johnson continuing to lead, but not for so long, because here comes Kyle Busch once again on the bottom of the racetrack.
It's obvious Kyle has a very fast truck, but with Jimmy there on the outside, Kyle cannot use the whole racetrack. He has to pedal a little bit to keep from running into Jimmy.
Todd Bodine stays to the outside of Kyle Busch as well. Kyle, we've seen him run toward the bottom of the racetrack. Jimmy Johnson early on even moved up to about the middle groove on this racetrack.
Well, I think right now if Jimmy stays up on the high side of the racetrack, he's going to keep Kyle pinned down there. That's what's kept him behind him. If Jimmy was to move to the bottom of the racetrack, Kyle would just drive by him on the outside.
Remember, Jimmy Johnson did not come onto pit road at any one of the 3 cautions that have taken place this evening, so he still has the tires that he started this race with on that truck.
And you know, right now, Phil, Jimmy needs, that team needs for this thing to stay green for a long time. He needs people to be putting laps on their tires under green flag conditions, not rolling around under caution, not abusing those tires, because when he comes to pit road and gets his, he wants them to be way fresher than all those guys that he has to pass.
He's working hard to stay on the outside of Kyle Busch. Looks like Busch is going to clear him, so Busch now in front of this field. Jimmy Johnson stays on that high line. Now Todd Bodine's going to look to the bottom for second.
Yeah, Jimmy's going to battle Todd's going to battle Jimmy for second. Kyle forced the issue a little bit. When he got a little bit in front of Jimmy, he moved up the racetrack to squeeze off that top line.
That's exactly what you do. As soon as you can get your nose ahead of the truck you're racing, you want to slide up in his groove, make him alter what he's doing, and give you a shot to get on by him.
Terry Cook has made some damage, some contact with somebody who's got a left front tire rub in there. You see the damage on that left front fender and that Weiler.com Toyota.
That could blow that thing out too, Phil. You know, we saw a little bit of smoke off Jeff Gordon's car last week, and then boom, he blows the tire up at Michigan. Same thing can happen right here at Bristol.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty significant tire rub on that 60 truck right there.
So sparks out of the truck in front of him as well. And this continues. This is the battle for second. Jimmy Johnson right in front of Todd Bodine. Bodine running third. Scott Speed is fourth. Just behind them, it's Johnny Benson, who has moved up to the fifth spot.
Yeah, the 22 of Scott Speed and the 23 of Johnny Benson have joined this battle, as well as the 33 of Hornaday.
Now, Phil, do you think that Jimmy just doesn't have as good a truck as these guys right now? Or do you believe their tire pressure is why they're able to run all over them?
Michael, I think the tire's a little bit better. I think that's the difference right now. It's going to be very curious to see what happens when Jimmy puts his tires on, if he can get by all the trucks to get up there and race these guys again.
Adam. And one of the interesting things from here will be, do the guys that came down at lap 42 make it down pit road again? The guy who is currently in the the sixth position, Ron Hornaday, his crew chief Rick Wren told me earlier today, I'm having a hard time deciding whether I'm going to pit once early and come again, or pit once early and be done with it. Type the word for him all morning long in the practice session. They've made it much better, and he's solidly in the top 10 once again, Ray.
Oh, problems on the front stretch. A big accident here on the front stretch.
Here.
John West Townley involved in this one in the 09. The leader just going through all of the smoke that is on the front stretch. So the caution comes out for the fourth time. This time the 09 involved.
That's the second of the Roush Fenway trucks that have been involved in incidents. You see Shelby Howard with a little bit of damage to the rear of his truck.
Now, this is an interesting dilemma. We heard Eric Phillips say he wanted to pit around lap 80.
Well, he's got that opportunity.
He has that chance, but, you know, Phil, I don't like it. Right now, they've only run 10 or 15 green flag laps more on his tires than those other trucks have. So he's not going to have as big of an advantage as he's going to need, because look at all the track position he's getting ready to leave.
07 involved as well.
So I got the 09 got into the side of the 07. Let's take a ride along with John West Townley in this Zaxby's Ford. See the 07 gets sideways up off the corner. Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no way. Just tried to avoid that 07.
The 07 gets away with it, and the 09 winds up in the wall.
Yeah, Sean Murphy in the 07 got spun around. He turns around in front of that 09. The 09 goes into the inside wall. Makes pretty hard contact, and so the damage to that truck. And now we're seeing a few trucks making their way onto pit road, one of those being that 81 of Jim Johnson. Ray Dunlap.
They're going to try to loosen him up a little bit, raising the track bar a couple of rounds and also a pound of air into the right rear. This pretty much falls right in the clutches. It's right at lap 80. You're going to make 81 here. Here comes Jimmy Johnson down to the crew. And as Adam said at the top of the show, this is his Sprint Cup crew. These guys going to work. If you watch on the right rear, you'll see Jeremy West. He's a longtime Truck Series veteran. He used to work at Ultra Motorsports before and going to Hendrick. And now we'll go down to Adam Alexander.
Dennis Setzer, a guy, Ray, that is always good on short track, but the only one he's never went to victory lane at? Right here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Similar pit strategy to Jimmy Johnson. He comes down at lap 81. It's going to be 4 tires and fuel for the 18, and he too will have a bunch of track position to make up once he returns to the Speedway.
This didn't work out right, in my opinion. This is a whole lot of a bunch of trucks he's going to have to pass, and his tires aren't that much better than theirs.
So strategy is going to come into play. We'll see if Jimmy Johnson can win. All of the fans here at Bristol Motor Speedway are in for a great night of racing. Monday on Speed, tune in for the only show where the drivers tell the story. This week in NASCAR, Steve Byrne hosts some of the biggest names, including Michael Waltrip, in NASCAR to discuss what went down in Thunder Valley and what's coming up next. This week in NASCAR, Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on Speed. Under the lights from Bristol Motor Speedway, and the Aaron's Lucky Dog is handed over to Jeff Green in the number 40, so he will grab a lap back. Everyone is trying to grab track position. It's Kyle Busch who has the lead here at Bristol.
Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on Speed is brought to you by Dodge. Live life to the fullest. Dodge. Grab life. By Aaron Sales and Lease Ownership. Nobody beats Aaron's. Nobody. By Mahindra Tractors and by Craftsman. Craftsman tools are the official tools of NASCAR. Craftsman at Sears.
Guys, I know Bristol Motor Speedway, one of the hardest tickets for the Sprint Cup race on Saturday, a Saturday night race here. But check out the crowd that's here tonight. They're all the way from turn 1 all the way around this track into turn 3.
It's intense. I love racing at Bristol, and I appreciate the work. I know everybody at home knows it's Wednesday night. They got to go to work tomorrow. That's the stage here at Bristol. This is a normal day. Tomorrow you got to go to work, but yet they show up because of all the action here at Bristol.
You know, the track president, Jeff Bird, stuck his head in the booth here just before we went on the air, and he said, yet another sellout for Saturday night. 160-some thousand seats sold for this race Saturday night.
When someone tries to figure out what we're all about, what NASCAR racing is, what the spectacle of the sport is, I say, please, come with me to Bristol. I want you just to feel what it's like to come to one of our marquee events.
Electricity. There's electricity in the air.
And you start feeling it as a driver now. You know what's coming up this weekend, and it gets you ready.
Ray, how many of these fans are here to watch the 22 of Scott Speed?
Well, probably a lot of them. He started on the pole tonight, and the truck's been pretty good. But Scott did just say on the radio a little bit ago, Rick, that he's a little concerned about the right front. We have seen a few tires down here on pit road with a little bit of blistering. And we heard on the radio traffic between Eric Phillips and Jimmy Johnson, they said, we're sticking with this pit at lap 80 plan. They think the good tires towards the end is going to make a big difference. Adam?
And how about Timothy Peters? This guy running a part-time schedule in 2008, but he continues to impress. Started in the top 10 tonight, and he is improved by 1 position, currently being scored in 6th. The only race on their schedule as of now that's definite the rest of the year, Martinsville in October. But if they continue to run in the top 10, perhaps sponsorship will come, and we'll see a lot more of that truck as the season continues.
That would be cool to see a lot more. But, we talked about how when under caution, it's still a job. Watch this. I'm going to get my tires warmed up here a little bit. We're getting ready to go racing.
Whoa. Eric Darnell trying to get up to the inside line.
I told you have to concentrate all the time. Just because the caution comes out doesn't mean you stop.
There's no timeouts.
No timeouts in this sport, especially at this racetrack.
I think this would be a time when they would catch their breath during caution, at least try to catch their breath so that they can focus a little harder when the green flag comes out.
Well, this has been a bit of an extended caution. We get the word that they're not going to go back green this lap either, so they are sort of formulating their plan, Phil Parsons. They're talking to the crews are talking to their drivers. They're trying to figure out what your truck's like. What are we going to do to make sure we're up front at the end of this 200 lapper? Yeah. We're almost halfway.
How do your tires feel right now? Have they gone off any since we put them on? That's the question that people like Kyle Busch have and Richie Waters have and Ty Bodine and Mike Hillman Jr.
You can see the brain trust for Jim Johnson's truck there. He's currently riding along in 19th under this caution after his pit stop, has the freshest tires of the top 20 trucks.
You know, Michael, the important thing, I'm looking at the scoring monitor, and Kyle Busch's fastest lap of the race was on lap 5, as well as about 6 of the top 8. Fastest lap of the race was on lap 5, not after they put their new tires on back on lap 40-something.
And we're about to see some fast laps as the pace truck makes its way back onto pit road and behind the wall. Now the field back in the hands of Kyle Busch, underway in Bristol. Todd Bodine right on the back bumper of Kyle Busch on this restart. Scott Speed runs 3rd, Johnny Benson 4th, Ron Hornaday 5th.
You know, nobody's passed Kyle Busch tonight. He's been the man so far. Todd Bodine looked like he thought maybe he could get him a little bit of Kyle Busch, but Kyle's driving away.
Kyle Busch has been strong. We saw him run side by side with Jimmy Johnson for quite a few laps, and then he was able to get in front of him. We saw Dennis Setzer also get involved in that with side-by-side racing. We continue to see side-by-side racing all over the racetrack.
Yeah, right in front of Jimmy Johnson, too, so that's going to halt his progress a little bit. He is going to follow Chad McCumbee by Patrick Carpentier in the 04 truck.
Jimmy Johnson restarted 19th when the green flag came out.
Jimmy had a chance to adjust on that truck a little bit. He had it out in front. Now he's back in some traffic. It'll be interesting to see if he's got the truck to drive up through these guys.
And guess what? Kyle Busch and Ty Bodine both ran their fastest lap, the last lap of the event.
There you hear it. So picking things up here on lap 94. Now we've moved up to 97. Again, Kyle Busch in front of Todd Bodine.
A little bit
about a half a second, a little over a half a second on Todd Bodine right now. So he's really pulled away since the green flag came out.
You can see that truck down in the middle of 3 and 4. He's driving away from him, but he's driving away from him. The thing was sideways down in the corner.
There's Ty Bodine right there. You see him running that little bit higher line in his Lumber Liquidators Toyota.
You can see that speck up there, that's the leader. But Todd Bodine is so focused on him, he feels like he's only a couple of truck lengths ahead. What's really depressing as a race car driver is when that speck up there keeps getting smaller and smaller. And that appears to be what's going on right now. Kyle Busch driving away from these guys.
And you know it's an optical illusion. When Todd Bodine drives down to turn number 1, he cannot see turn number 2. This racetrack, the radius of these corners is so tight, it's very, very difficult. That's when you really rely on your spotters in the event of trouble in front of you, because you cannot see around the end of the corner.
Halfway mark for this race. Again, it's a 200 lap, 106.6-mile race, and it's Kyle Busch that leads at the halfway point.
Jimmy Johnson right now rides in the 16th position.
Whoa, got his hands full. Is he going to save it? It looks as though he will. Wow, he's still fighting it. He gets turned around right in front of the traffic. There's contact made.
Just got loose off the turn and battled it all the way down the straightaway.
He was fighting that thing all the way from turn 2 all the way into 3, and that's when he finally got clipped.
Yeah, a lot of damage to that Cobalt Chevrolet. Tough break for Jimmy. You know, they stuck to their game. He was in some heavy traffic there, got loose coming off turn 2. And had it not been for the other trucks, I think he probably would have saved that truck. But unfortunately, you know, there was really nowhere to go here at Bristol.
He doesn't have a tailgate anymore.
He's got a lot of camber in that right front too, so a lot of suspension damage to the right front of that Chevrolet. Great on that.
Well, guys, they're going to have to go behind the wall because they've got to get a spoiler on that thing. NASCAR won't let them go back out the way it is right now, so this is going to be a lengthy repair. Jimmy Johnson just radioed in, says, thought I almost had it saved, and boy, he did a great job for a while, but no spoiler on there. They've got a good bit of work to do to make this repair.
He actually has the spoiler, but it's tucked back underneath the truck.
Yeah, Rick, let's take a look at this, Michael. And he gets a little bit loose up off of 2. He's on the inside of John Wood. John's a lap down right now. You see him get a little bit loose right in the center, and he's going to continue to try to save this truck. And he just about has it saved, and then it swings back the other way and just gets away from him. And the guys were trying to get by in the bottom, and Jeff Green comes along, and he was basically in the middle of a couple trucks and really had nowhere to go.
Yeah, nobody could predict where Jimmy was going. He was wobbling.
Jimmy didn't know where he was going.
No, and Jeff Green didn't have a clue. You can see he just gets loose on the inside. You know, he's battling that truck hard, trying to keep it out of the outside wall, and eventually it goes around with him.
He just got farther and farther out of shape the more times it went back and forth, and here comes Jeff with nowhere to go. Just got the lucky dog, and unfortunately now he's got some considerable damage. Watch Jimmy drive that thing. Watch him steer that thing inside that truck.
His hands are working extremely hard.
And that's all going down at well over 100 miles an hour. Yeah. He's out of control. You know, you think about running 100 miles an hour, that's a big deal, and he's out of control running 100 miles an hour.
Take a look at Ted Musgrave's view.
There's Dennis Setzer right in front of Ted Musgrave. Dennis does a nice job getting by on the inside when Jimmy gets sideways. Ooh, Ted said, I don't know if here we go. I'm by him.
He didn't want any part of that. Let me get past as quickly as possible.
Racing's crazy. Jimmy Johnson's up under John Wood and Rex. John Wood gets the lucky dog out of the deal. If he gets Aaron's, is going to put him back on the lead lap.
When we come to Bristol Motor Speedway, it is always the anticipation of bumping and banging and door-to-door racing. And after the halfway point, it has not been disappointing. Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway. Green flag back in the air. Kyle Busch, Todd Bodine, 1 and 2 as they head into turn 1.
Michael, what do you think? Kyle Busch stayed on the racetrack that time. You think he's done pitting?
I think so. I think all those guys that pitted on lap 45 or so have decided that's it. You know, we're going to ride this baby to the end. But there is some concerns about some tire blistering going on. So I know the crew chiefs are tensely wondering what's going to happen.
Look at Hornaday jumps on the outside of Johnny Benson.
Ron Hornaday pulling away from Benson. A great pass there, taking over 4th.
He still hasn't got that thing tightened up, though, Phil. He's
still wiggling.
Hornaday moves up to 4th. Johnny Benson, our point leader, drops back to 5th. Again, Benson trying to make history in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. No one has won 4 consecutive races coming into this. Johnny has 3 in a row.
Who's the last guy to win 4 consecutive races in NASCAR?
Harry Gant.
Oh, he was in this race earlier.
Harry wasn't.
Does that give you a clue? Yeah. Jimmy Johnson a year ago.
He won 4 in a row a year ago?
Yes. Yeah. Look at the tire smoke we've got here on the 40. And that was Jeff Green that was involved with Jimmy Johnson in that most recent accident.
Man, I'm going to try to get to pit road with that, Phil. That's, looks like real sharp on that right front corner.
But Mike Skinner had a tough day in practice earlier today, but now running 13th on the racetrack.
That's very un-Skinner-like for him to be back there in the 13th position. He's actually battling that 08 right there, Jason White, 4 position.
Gets on the inside of Jason White. Looks like he's going to make that pass.
Take 12th away. We've completed 114 laps on lap 115 of 200. This is a sprint. I mean, when we talk about races, this one is a quick one.
See, Dennis Setzer, the very right side of your screen here, that's the guy that was on the same pit strategy as Jimmy Johnson. Dennis is only...
Oh, contact. Eric Darnell again with contact.
With a 71 of Donnie Leah, but right now Dennis Setzer runs in the 11th position.
And Dennis Setzer was running up there, battling for the lead at one point in time, running second. Oh, we've got a slow truck on the racetrack. That's that 40 of Jeff Green once again.
Yeah, that...
Ooh, a lot of damage to the 60 truck of Terry Cook.
The 40 blew that right front tire, I believe, getting down into turn 1, Phil.
The problems with Sean Murphy in the 07. He turns around in turn number 4. That brings the caution out once again.
There's action all over the racetrack. We had a truck slowing in turn 2. We had a truck hitting the wall in turn 4.
You can see the right front tire on Jeff Green's truck is flat. He went down in turn 1 and went flat. He hit the 60, knocked him into the wall. And while all that's taking place, the 07 of Sean Murphy wipes out the wall in turn 4.
So this caution coming out on lap 118.
I think this is the time right now. If these guys are going to stay on the racetrack, they're going to do it now. If they're going to pit, I think now is the time. I don't think pitting later than this, there's any way possible you can get back to the front.
Well, we talked about guys that are trying to get out. Well, Jimmy Johnson has gotten out of his race truck, and he's with Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. Of course, the early part of this race, very, very fun. You guys seem like you had a great truck in the first part of this race.
I was having a blast. I really have to thank Randy Moss Motorsports and this whole crew for working as hard as they did. I feel terrible I tore up their truck. I just got loose on the coming off of 2, and I lost it, I think, 3 times, or 4 times. Saved it 3 times and finally crashed on the 5th or something. But
we've got a replay here, Jimmy. Take us through it.
I'm trying to get underneath the 21, and I kind of...
There's nowhere for the spoiler to sit on the back, and Eric Phillips looked at this damage and decided there's no way they can get it fixed in time to get back in the race. So Jimmy Johnson already done in his first ever start in the Craftsman Truck Series. Guys?
Not the way he wanted to finish, obviously.
I think Johnny Benson liked his strategy from a year ago. He pitted a little bit later than everybody else and went on to win the race.
Yeah, we saw Ron Hornaday jump by him on the outside, so maybe Johnny says, hey, I don't have a truck good enough to win right now. Let's do something, make something happen.
They're mixing it up. They've decided to come in with just 80 laps of racing to go. So on pit road is Johnny Benson. Been looking for his 4th consecutive win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series here in 2008.
I like this call for these guys. Like you said, Phil, we're not going to win like we are. We just got past. We're just running in the top 5. That's all we got. Let's try something different.
Jim Johnson came into the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series this evening and shined a bigger spotlight here on the trucks, but his night is over. The race still going on. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The O'Reilly 200 presented on Speed by Camping World RV Sales from Bristol Motor Speedway. The green flag back in the air.
I think these guys have made their bed, Michael. I think they're going to stay out. We know Johnny came in on that caution flag. I think that's about the last opportunity with any reasonable chance of driving back to the front.
Johnny Benson, he restarted 19. Can he get to the front from 19?
I think he can. I think it's possible, but darn. Oh, we got a spinner in turn 2.
Sure enough, Chad McCullough. Oh, that's actually Brian Scott, and he's going to create a look. Oh boy, we've got contact behind him. It looked like it was going to be most of the trucks getting through there, but nowhere for that 4 of Stacy Compton.
A lot of damage for Stacy Compton. David Starr got a piece of it. I think Stacy ran in the back of David Starr. Timothy Peters was such a good run going. You see all the damage to that Red Horse Toyota of David Starr's.
It was Brian Scott that got turned around, and he was pointed the wrong direction.
And these guys did a great job of not running into each other right until the very last minute. But then when they came off turn 2, they just got all wadded up.
And again, as all of this is getting cleaned up on the racetrack, it was Brian Scott, again, that got turned around.
His spin looked a whole lot like Jimmy Johnson's,
right.
Only it happened faster. He just was down low on the track, and the thing just got right away from him.
Hey, folks, we have heard from you that some of you were not able to hear the interview that Ray Dunlap did with Jimmy Johnson. We want to play that back so that all of you can hear what took place in that conversation.
Well, thank you, Rick. Of course, the early part of this race, very, very fun. You guys seem like you had a great truck in the first part of this race. Was you having a good time?
Yeah, I was having a blast. I really have to thank Randy Moss Motorsports and this whole crew for working as hard as they did. I feel terrible. I tore up their truck. I just got loose on the coming off of 2, and I lost it, I think, 3 times or 4 times. Saved it 3 times and finally crashed on the 5th or something. But
we've got a replay here, Jimmy. Take us through it.
I get trying to get underneath the 21, and I kind of lose it. And I fought it, and ran out of talent, I guess, at the end right here. And I knew I was going to get hit. But I had a great time, and I really wish I could have finished it up for these guys. I know we could have had a top 2 or 3 finish tonight.
We had a good time having you here. We're going to walk around here, Jimmy, real quick, just to show the folks behind the truck exactly what the problem is. Why they've decided to take the 81 out of the race is the fact that all of this area is missing. So because the whole bumper is gone, there's nowhere for the spoiler to sit on the back. And Eric Phillips looked at this damage and decided there's no way they can get it fixed in time to get back in the race. So Jimmy Johnson already done in his first ever start in the Craftsman Truck Series. Guys?
And again, we wanted to replay that for you. We are under caution. It was Brian Scott. Let's take a look at what happened.
As Michael said, that a lot of guys did such a super job getting by. You see Brian's on the inside of Rick Crawford. He gets loose. He's going to spin, stay down on the bottom of the race. But watch these guys go every direction there. David Sargent just stops, and then Timothy Peters had that 5 truck of Mike Skinner on the outside, so he really couldn't go up and couldn't get it turned down in time.
The spotters are crazy on the radio right now saying, got a spinner, go high, go high, go low, do something. And they almost make it through right to the very end.
So let's take a look at from Mike Skinner's on board. You see him, he's on the outside of right there. That's Dennis Sitzer right in front of him. You see him. Mike's going way, way wide there, which was a pretty good move. Ooh, he got the 15 of David Strimmy that almost clipped his nose on the way by.
Check out Musgrave here. The spin's up ahead. Everybody's slowing down. Look at the mess Ted's looking at. And
very close,
to the inside of him, they pile into one another. Ted just slips right through.
Very close call by quite a few drivers. The Aaron's lucky dog goes to the 99 of Eric Darnell.
And now he's got a shot. He was 2 laps down, but there were no trucks 1 lap down. He gets one of those laps back. He's only 1 down now.
Trying to put his name back in the hat of potential winners here. He's running 23rd. Kyle Busch out in front. Welcome back. Obviously, the pace still slowed because we're still under caution. The O'Reilly 200 presented on speed by Camping World RV Sales. Kyle Busch was able to get out front early on in this race. He is back out front once again. He's led 72 of our 130 laps that have been completed.
You know, we see Terry Cook here. He's been in and off of pit road trying to make repairs to that 60 truck. Saw Jeff Green smoking the right front tire earlier in the race. He goes down in turn 1, and that right front tire goes away. Poor Timothy Peters on the outside of him bounces off of Jeff Green, but then he runs Terry Cook right into the outside wall. So we felt like that tire was in jeopardy of blowing, and I'll be darned if it didn't.
Yeah, there are times when you get a tire rub, and you know the flat part of the fender is rubbing on the tire. You know that's probably not going to result in a cut tire, but that one had a bad look about it.
Ray Dunlap.
Well, guys, let's hear from Trip Bruce. He is crew chief for Johnny Benson. And Trip, a year ago, you guys pitted on 104 and came back and won. This time at 119. What's the strategy?
Well, right now, I'm just more concerned about the right front tires have been taking a little bit of abuse tonight. So I'm playing it conservative. I don't want to run the whole race or over 100 laps on one right front tire. So just put the new ones on. That's it. No strategy at all. Just being safe.
And we've had a bunch of caution laps here. I'm sure you don't want to see many more of them. He needs time to get through the field.
Yeah, he's got fresh tires now, so he should be able to pass pretty good. And he's patient, with the traffic. So I think he'll be okay. Tires have been wearing pretty bad here. So if that was a good move for us, it'll pay off in the end. We'll see.
All right, good luck to you. Remember, guys, these guys are going for 4 wins in a row, a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series record.
Rick, let's see if we can make contact with Kyle Busch. Hey, Kyle Busch, Phil Parsons, can you hear me?
Yeah, Phil. What's up?
Well, you guys, you and Richie decided to stay out and go with the tires you got. We've run 132 laps. Probably going to be too late to pit again, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. We, I think we came down at 41 and figured that would probably be good, judging by last year, but seems to be a few guys that are tight that have a little blistering problem or something like that, which we saw very light of, but I'm loose right now, so hopefully we're all good with our Mikizuki Toyota.
How about that 30 truck of Ty Bodine behind you? Has he got anything for you?
You never know, man. They could always show up here anytime, so we got to keep ahead of everything and stay on our toes.
All right, buddy, you got one to go. Have a good one.
All right.
You got to keep your head on a swivel here at Bristol. You don't know where they're coming from, and you don't know how your truck will change or how some other guy's truck might get better. Tire wear is a concern. Last year we didn't hear anything about that, so
a little bit softer tire this year than last year, too.
Take a look at this. The race winners already this season. 9 different drivers have been to victory lane. Multiple wins for Johnny Benson, Ron Hornaday, and Kyle Busch.
Yeah, Kyle trying to make it 3 wins. You know, he's got a worse winning percentage in the Truck Series than of the 3 major series of NASCAR, the Cup, Nationwide, and Trucks.
And you want to know how tough the Truck Series is? 2-time champion Jimmy Johnson, he managed to qualify 9th, and he's trying to race through the field. He loses his truck. This is hard stuff. These guys are tough.
Tough trucks, tough racing, and it's tough to get by Kyle Busch when he's in a truck.
See Ron Hornaday trying to make his way by the 22 of Scott Speed. Kyle Busch is one of the only guys that consistently runs up front and wins races in this series. I think he's won races in all 3 major series 4 years in a row.
Yeah, unbelievable statistic.
That's an amazing stat.
Johnny Benson moving to the front. Again, fresher tires on that 23. Oh, a little bump there. Hornaday gets into the 22 of Scott Speed. Speed's able to keep it going the right direction.
Rick Cropper jumps to the outside.
Rick Cropper trying to take 4th away from Hornaday.
Johnny got stuck down on the bottom, down in 3 and 4. Rick lost 2 or 3 spots. That 59 truck just drove right around the outside of him. Ted Musgrave. But Johnny's going to return the favor on the inside.
You know, it looks like Johnny Benson can go anywhere on the racetrack right now, and some other guys are limited on where they can run on this track.
Well, his truck is obviously pretty good, and he's decided to beat. He's got the freshest tires of most anyone on the racetrack right now, but he's right mired back in the 14th spot, looking for 13th on Jason White.
He drives under Jason White down into turn 1. Not quite able to clear him in the middle of the corner, but off turn 2, he gets him. Now he goes and sets his sight on David Strimmy running up there in the 12th spot.
Remember, Johnny had a very similar strategy last year, and it worked for him. He pitted on lap number 105. This time he pitted on lap number 119.
And he's got to feel really good about his truck right now. He's fast. He's gaining on everybody he's around. He believes, I guarantee he believes right now he can win this race if the cards fall right.
Good battle right there. Mike Skinner in the 5 truck. That was Dennis Setzer sticking his nose underneath Skinner. That's a battle for the 9th spot right there. Got Brendan Gaughan, that 10 truck right behind. There's Johnny all the way up to 12th now.
He drives around Strimmy.
Remember a year ago with Brendan Gaughan, Brendan was on the outside running up against the wall looking for the win in this race, and we got some smoke out of the 11 of David Starr. He slows on the racetrack down on the apron area, so he's going to make it off the track.
Yeah, David was involved in that earlier incident when the 16 of Brian Scott spun out.
Take a look at 6th and 7th. Jack Sprague in front of T.J. Bell.
Great run for T.J. Bell. I tell you, this guy continues to impress me.
Week in and week out, he's strong, solidly in the top 10.
Good run for T.J. Bell. Jack Sprague just in front of it. Started 12th in this race. You see the progression that he has made up through the field. Ray Dunlap.
T.J. Bell was really, really loose in practice, so Butch Hilton did a good bit to that truck after qualifying. They had adjustments, and he said he felt like they went in the right direction. Now realize Butch Hilton, his crew chief, has 3 wins right here at Bristol. He won once with Jeff Green and 2 with Kevin Harvick. So he said, I believe that T.J. Bell is really, really coming around. I'm very pleased with what he's done. Now the yellow is coming out right now, and T.J. Bell has gone from 10th up to 7th.
A little damage to the Rockingham Speedway truck of Brian Silas.
It's been a rough night for Brian. Didn't get off to a good start. Now he's got the back of that truck messed up.
8th caution of the night. We've already had 51 laps under caution. The record 69. We hope to not break that record this evening. Johnny Benson looking for a record 4 in a row. See if he can get through the field. Welcome back to Bristol. Let's test your trivia knowledge. It's Aaron's lucky guess trivia. How many drivers won in their first NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series start? Any ideas?
I know.
Phil, you're raising your hand.
I know who is not. Big Jim.
Big Jim didn't get it accomplished. And another big story that just took place, the 18 of Dennis Setzer made his way onto pit road, right?
Well, here's the situation, Rick. They were back in 10th right now, and Setzer felt like he just couldn't make any forward progress. They had a really good truck in practice, started 8th, and Setzer said, we can't win this race the way I am right now, so let's get some tires. And Marcus Richmond made the call. He said, I go with whatever my driver says. So they came in and pitted at 1:48. So can they work their way forward from where they'll restart, which I believe is 21st. Is that correct?
Green flag back in the air. Yes, restarting 21st is correct.
And guys, great news for Eric Arnell. He did get his second Aaron's lucky dog, and he's back on the lead lap.
So now the top 22 are leading or chasing Kyle Busch. 22 on the lead lap.
You have to keep an eye on Johnny Benson. Right now, he's in the 10th position. He's running out of times. We're out of laps. We're inside of 50 laps to go.
David Stremming right on the back bumper of Johnny Benson. Benson, again, a little fresher tires. Not obviously as fresh as Dennis Setzer, but fresher tires on that 23, trying to make his way up through this field.
And that is a battle for position. In front of him, the 5 of Mike Skinner and the 71 of Donnie Leah.
You know, it's really interesting to watch Johnny Benson as the competition gets tougher. He gets close to that top 10. He was driving right around trucks when he first restarted a few laps ago on that first restart, but now it's getting tougher. He can't make those moves quite as easily.
There we saw him on the bottom of the racetrack.
On the bottom, the 71 of Donnie Leah. He will take over the 9th position from Donnie Leah.
Following that 5 of Mike Skinner, slow on the racetrack. The 9 of Justin Marks. It looks like the right side. He's got a tire rub. See the smoke coming out. He makes it off the racetrack, so it looks like he's clear.
Mike Skinner continues to stay out in front of the 23 of Johnny Benson. Skinner right now running 8th. There's David Stremme right there driving that 15 Ergon Toyota for Billy Ballou. He's got a pretty good run going.
Been really solid all night. Avoided some of the problems we've seen these other guys having, getting loose under trucks, flat tires, all kinds of problems at them. David's steady.
And here's a guy that's making his second consecutive truck start. They cut a tire early at Nashville and had to settle for a 13th place finish. And tonight, rallying once again. 24th is where they started. Currently 11th in the running order. And the one advantage they may have in these last 50 laps, they came in for 4 tires at lap 103. Perhaps if the other guys wear down, Stremme will be there to collect his first top 10 and only his second truck start, Ray.
Adam, it was lap 119 when Johnny Benson was to pit road last time. He just went by his teammate Mike Skinner, taking over 8th. Remember, Benson restarted 19th, so he's up all the way to 8th. So far, moving forward, his next target on the racetrack, TJ Bell.
And we talked about how well TJ Bell is running on the racetrack, but it looks like Johnny Benson is going to reel him in, and it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, there's no question Johnny has a fast truck right now. But these trucks, as you mentioned, Michael, they're going to get a little bit harder to pass the closer you get to the front. And now we've got 40 laps to go in this race.
This is a great story with TJ Bell in the 7 truck. We said earlier, week in and week out, he just gets better and better. We find him running near the top 5, definitely in the top 10 week in and week out.
Yeah. Had a great 7th place run a couple of races ago with ORP for his best career finish.
Johnny Benson's going to look to the outside now of TJ Bell. Again, Johnny Benson trying to make it 4 wins in a row in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. That has never happened. Look at Johnny Benson make the pass on TJ Bell. Made it look easy, so he takes that position away. He moves up to 7th now as Benson continuing to close the gap between he and Kyle Busch. Hey, what's going on with that 14, Ray?
I'll tell you, Rick, one of the most impressive runs of the night has to be from Rick Crawford. In both practice sessions earlier today, the 14 was in the top 5. He had a real good truck, but something went wrong. He got loose in qualifying and started 24th. I'll tell you what, there was a lot of anger in Rick Crawford and his his crew chief, Cowboy Starlin, said, focus that anger. Be angry at the corner. Attack it. Drive in. And that's just what he's done. He's all the way up to 5th. An unbelievable run for the Circle Bar team. Adam?
And you know what? We talk about Kyle Busch so much. Just vanilla in NASCAR. How good this kid has been here in 2008. Of course, the 8 Cup wins in the Sprint Cup Series, the big headline. What's amazing, this guy who runs consistently in the Truck Series has not won in this series since March. He won it at California and again at Atlanta. He's trying to break that string tonight and win for the first time here at Bristol, and he looks real good with 34 laps to go.
What a huge gap he has right now. He's got about a 2.5-second lead over Ty Bodine, but look at that truck running behind Ty Bodine. It's our pole sitter, Scott Speed. I'm telling you, this guy had zero stock car experience coming into this year other than an ARCA race he ran, and I'm telling you, he's been so impressive on all sorts of racetracks.
Yeah, how about this track? Never run on this track before.
Never saw this racetrack before.
Yeah. But go back to Dover. Dover's a Bristol on steroids. Yeah. Basically, it's a huge, fast concrete racetrack. He wins at Dover. So you had to think he'd adapt to this place pretty well.
He's won 4 races in ARCA Remax Series. He leads that point standings right there with just a few races to go, and he's doing a terrific job in this truck, battling Ty Bodine, one of our series champions, for the 2nd spot.
As that battle continues, you see the 14 moving by Jack Sprague, or at least trying to move by. The 71 of Donnie Leah running 10th right now. And again, he was another one of the first-time winners in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series earlier this season.
This is right up Donnie Leah's avenue, isn't it, Phil? He loves these bull ring short tracks.
This is in his wheelhouse, isn't it?
It's good to see him having a good run, winning up at Mansfield earlier in the season on a great 3-wide checker flag finish.
Johnny Benson able to get by Rick Crawford. Johnny takes over the 6th spot. Now he has Jack Sprague in front of him, running 5th.
You know, if you look at the lap times, we have timing and scoring here in the booth, and Johnny Benson is consistently as fast as Kyle Busch, but it's a long way from where he's at to Kyle Busch's rear bumper.
Yeah, right now he's about 5 seconds behind Kyle Busch.
The laps continue to wind down here. From the drop of the green flag, the excitement was unbelievable. Even 2-time Cup champion Jimmy Johnson is out of this one. We'll be back with more racing from Thunder Valley.
You can live without pain. You can be drug-free. Together, we can make it happen. At North Atlantic Chiropractic, we succeed in safe, effective health care for people of all ages. Healthy, happy patients are the result of our total wellness approach. Feel better, live better. North Atlantic Chiropractic on Pleasant Hill Road in Duluth. Make an appointment now with your nearest Gwinnett Chiropractic Alliance member, AC Chiropractic Life Center, Sugar Hill Family Chiropractic, and North Atlantic Chiropractic.
Huge complications now for Ron Hornaday, looking to repeat as champion in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, involved in our most recent caution, and he will be climbing out of that truck for good for this evening. Our 9th caution of the race, and NASCAR is going to red flag this event.
Yeah, he came into this race only 45 points behind our point leader, Johnny Benson. Going to take a huge hit right here. His teammate, Jack Sprague, was also involved. He was actually behind Ron. They got together. They had a 2-truck incident on the racetrack right in front of him, and they piled into it.
Look at Ron Hornaday saying, wait a second, can you get it so that I can drive it?
Well,
Let's take a look at what happened there. Shocked right now.
Doesn't have any oil. This is interesting. The 48 and the 21 get together, getting into one. You can see the 13.
You saw Ty Bodine and Scott Speed go by. Now watch this.
It's a long time afterwards that these two, but you can't see, Phil. You're coming down the front show. You have no idea there's 2 trucks laid up in the middle of the corner. You're waiting on your spotter to tell you what's going on.
Like we talked before, it's hard to see around these corners. There's real time right there. You see the 48 back in the wall. Now watch up going in 1. You see Ron was slowing down, and Jack got in the back of Ron, actually pushed him a little bit. Ron may have been able to avoid it on the high side. There's a 2 right there of Jack Sprague. Didn't get quite as much damage as Ron, but it's probably going to put it into Ron's night.
It almost looked like the 2 got a hold of the 33 and knocked him sideways. And then Ron was trying to save his truck and stop his truck, and he didn't have room to do both.
Let's ride along.
There's Ron Hornaday Hornaday right there. You're going to see the two get back into the back around. Now he's sideways. You can hear the rear brakes locking up and wheel hopping because Ron was on the brakes so hard, but unfortunately wasn't enough.
You know, we said you can't see what's going on down in the corner. Ron Hornaday had a better view of what was going on than Jack Sprague did. Jack was all up underneath the back of Ron. When Ron got off the gas, he hit his teammate and knocked him into the crash.
Right, exactly.
Here it is again now. Watch.
Watch this bump.
See, Jack gets in the back of Ron, and they're both trying to stop. Now Ron locks the brakes up. He's going to try to go around the 13 of Shelby Howard. When he locks up the front brakes, he isn't able to turn that truck anymore, and then he makes the contact, busts his radiator, and probably ends his night.
Yeah, I don't think I can get that truck back together, considering the problems that it has under the hood. You know, that's going to be a radiator, oil cooler, not to mention the sheet metal damage.
Yeah, and remember, they're not going to be able to work on this truck until the red flag is pulled and the caution flag comes back out, and we've got just 21 laps to go.
Yeah, again, they went under red flag conditions. The last time Ron Hornaday didn't finish a race was Nashville of 06. That was 50 races ago, the last time there was no DNF for Ron Hornaday. So a difficult situation for Kevin Harvick Incorporated tonight at Bristol Motor Speedway. One of his drivers is out of the race, the other one with a lot of damage. How many drivers have won in their first NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series start? The answer, 3. The names, Mike Skinner, Robert Presley, and Casey Kane. Casey Kane actually won his first 2 starts in this series. Again, we are under a red flag condition, and amazingly enough, second in the points, Ron Hornaday involved in the accident and out of his race truck. The O'Reilly 200 presented on Speed by Camping World RV Sales.
You know, the guy running third in points coming into this race, Matt Craftsman, Rick, has had trouble also. Right now, he sits in the 24th position.
Yeah. But he's going to end up in front of Hornaday. You take a look at the points as of now. Now, Hornaday is going to drop a few more points from this because of, right now he's scored in the 20th spot, but there's quite a few trucks that are still on the racetrack, and we have still 21 laps to go.
Yeah, he's going to be
6,
7 more spots he's going to drop.
And I think Johnny Benson's going to gain another spot, too. So he's going to fall well behind JB.
Let's flash back to what has taken place up to this point in this race.
Basically a myriad of caution.
It's been amazing. At the very beginning, it was Johnny Benson that jumped to the outside of the 22, stayed there, battled him all the way around that first lap, and led quite a few laps here at the beginning of this race.
You know, this is a new tamer Bristol, but I certainly haven't noticed that. Have you guys?
Ron Tell.
There's a 99 of Eric Donnell who has a flat tire. There's a 48 of Brian Silas, brings out a caution flag, spins off turn number 2.
A little contact there. Sends the number 6 Conway Freight into the wall.
And that's when the majority of the field comes down pit road right there. That's when Kyle Busch came down pit road. That's when Todd Bodine came down pit road. Our third place truck of Scott Speed came down pit road.
Here's the issue. We talked about third in points. Matt Crafton getting involved. That was with the 41, so damage to that truck. And again, he is scored back in the 24th spot now.
There's lap number 79, the 07. Sean Murphy gets turned around, and the 09 of John West Townley makes contact with the inside retaining wall.
Talk about how quickly things happen. 2-time Cup Series champion Jimmy Johnson trying to save it, coming out of 2. Can't do it. In 3, gets turned around, and then contact takes him completely out of this one.
He fought that thing all the way down the backstretch. Unfortunately, a lot of damage to that Cobalt Chevrolet.
You might say he got behind in his steering eventually, but he gave it a solid
effort.
He did, all the way down the back straightaway.
123, Brian Scott stops, and that creates a traffic jam behind him.
Oh, yeah, a lot of damage for Timothy Peters, David Starr, as well as the 4 of Stacy Compton. That's Ted Musgrave's view right there, Michael.
And I think Stacy Compton thought he was just going to follow Timothy Peters right on through.
He's got to be able to see where he's going.
I can't see where I'm going, but he can. And they both.
Recently, this is the issue that took place that has sent us into a red flag condition. The 48, the 13 stopping on the racetrack, and then teammates Jack Sprague and Ron Hornaday get into this.
Look at the top of the screen here. You see Ron slowing down, and Jack gets into the back of him. Yeah. Knocked his truck sideways. He's trying to save his truck and stop his truck. He couldn't do both at the same time.
It looked like Ron was able to see that incident. It looked like he was going to be able to get stopped. Jack didn't have as good a view. He was behind Ron. They made a little contact, and unfortunately, both of them involved.
And just moments ago, Adam Alexander caught up with second in the points, Ron Hornaday.
And Ron Hornaday has walked from the infield care center. And Ron, tell us what happened on the racetrack.
You guys can see it. It's just Bristol. I mean, I thought I checked up, and I don't know who got in the back of me. It just lifted the back tires off, and I had no control. I was going to go low. Corelli called it in time. I was rolled up good enough, so it's a shame. The Camperwood Chevrolet was good, and we knew Johnny pitted, and we were just trying to gain some points on him, and I didn't know he was running 6, but, I mean, with 20-something to go, I mean, you had to stay out, and that's the way we called the game. So, darn, we needed one more stop to make it really good to beat them guys, but we still had a good truck to run on top 5, so it's a shame. I hate to see that happen. It's hard on the points.
Tough break for Ron Hornaday, and with as few laps are left in this one, he is likely done for the night.
There you see the truck, the damage that had been done. Again, the reason why we are under a red flag condition. The 48 involved in this one, as well as that 13 of Shelby Howard, and then Kevin Harvick incorporated 2 trucks involved at the end of it. 4 trucks bring out the caution, and now the red. We'll be right back with more. Sunday for Moto Championships to the NASCAR Chase. Be sure you check out Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain to catch up on all the excitement in the world of motorsports. Also, jump online or call in and give Dave your opinion on the big story this week. Sunday, Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain live 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, only on Speed.
Let's see if we can make some contact with Johnny Benson. Hey, JB, Phil Parsons up in the speed booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, Phil, go ahead. What are you doing?
Well, me and Mikey and Rick are just up here watching you put on a pretty good show. You guys, last year, your strategy was pit after halfway. You made your way back to the front and won that race. Same strategy for you and Tripp this time. You're in 4th. You've got 3 pretty good trucks in front of you, and you're going to have less than 20 laps. You got enough time?
Well, I don't know, Phil. That's less than 5 laps a truck. It's going to be tough, you know. Goodyear brought a good tire, but ain't the same one as last year, so we tried some strategy, and maybe it'll work for us, maybe it won't, but hopefully it's exciting for the fans, and Tripp, Bruce, and those guys do a tremendous job every week on this Tundra, so we're pretty happy how it's going.
I'm sure you're aware that your closest point pursuers, Hornaday and Craftsman, have both had some trouble, so if you can get this thing to the end, it's going to be a pretty good night for you in the points.
Yeah, you know, it probably will, but I ain't about that at the moment. We're going to try to win this thing and see what happens. I ain't going to do anything stupid, but we're still going to try to win this thing.
All right, buddy. Good luck.
All right, thanks.
Take a look at this. We talked about Ron Hornaday out of the race truck and out of the race. Well, he's climbed back in, thinking maybe something might happen here. Ray, what's going on?
Well, let me add on his teammate for you, Rick. Jack Sprague was up in 4th or 5th, but after they reviewed the tape, they put him in 8th, right behind Mike Skinner. Now, Ernie Cope, his crew chief, said we're not going to pit here. We ought to be able to make it to the end. They have looked at the front of that truck, and on the right front, the valence is bent down a little bit. So they just warned Jack it may be dragging the track a little bit, but they're going to try to run these last 16 or 17 laps and get to the finish. That's what's important for Sprague right now, but he is scored in 8th position as we get ready to go back to green.
You know, I just don't see them being able to. I don't know if they can do this or not, Phil. We saw the water and oil. It was on fire. I don't know that even making a lap or 2 will get him any points because he's completed 177 laps. There's guys that are just a handful of laps behind him. By the time they get that thing back together, I don't see it.
Yeah, but that's a championship team, though. They're making the effort. Now, if they could get out for 1 lap, they're going to try to do that. But right now, we have a race to decide.
Oh, yeah. Look at that start.
17 laps remain. The green flag in the air. We're back underway in Thunder Valley.
Great start for Kyle Busch. Now you got Johnny Benson right now. He's got his teammate Scott Speed in front of him. Remember, Johnny raced Scott for the lead on the very first lap. Contact.
Together. Wow, a close call there. Both of them have to check up Scott Speed and Johnny Benson. Didn't look like Scott Speed knew Benson was down there.
Johnny Benson's already said he's budgeted 5 laps per truck to get to the lead. He tried to get that truck on the first lap of the restart. They got together. That's cost him some ground.
Top Odine has closed in a little bit on Kyle Busch. Kyle opened up a big lead on the restart. Todd's chasing him down.
This is the first time we've seen anybody gain on Kyle Busch all night long. We're down to less than 15 to go, and Todd Bodine is gaining on Busch.
13 laps remain as they go by the start-finish line. Take a look again at Johnny Benson on the inside as the caution has come out once again.
Yeah, Johnny drives down to the inside, and Scott did not really know he was there. He came up so quick through the center. They make some contact, and a great save by Scott Speed.
Nice job by Rick Crawford back there as well, checking up. He about got into the back of that 23. We're hearing debris on the racetrack is what brought out this, the 10th caution of the night.
Now Kyle Busch is thinking, what just happened? I've been killing these guys. I've been running away from them. Todd Bodine was running me down. He had a great start. He jumped him 10, 15 truck lengths, but Todd erased that advantage.
Remember, we talked to Kyle. He said he didn't know you never know what's going to happen. You never know who's going to emerge, and Todd Bodine looked like he was pretty strong this last run.
So again, we're talking about cautions, the fewest ever for a truck race, 6, the most 11. We're at 10. We're going for a lot of laps under caution as well. That was 62 now that they have completed under caution. Record 69. How about Eric Darnell? He was a couple laps down.
He was 3 down.
Today.
3 down, and he got them all back. And now he's on the lead lap, and he's raced his way right up into contention. He's running in 14th spot, just behind Jason White. Jason in the 13th spot. What a great job by Jason tonight. Solid all night long in that gunbrokers.com Dodge.
See him right in front of the 99 of Eric Darnell.
Trucks look a lot alike, and they're running a lot alike.
Take a look at Todd right there on the top of that truck. You see that? It says beautiful. That's in honor of big guy Steve Helwig, a good friend of Todd's, a good friend of everybody in the race. And we lost him this last week. Big guy has been around this sport a long time. He came south with Mike McLaughlin back in the early 90s, and unfortunately he lost his battle with leukemia. And we want to give a shout out to his family and tell him that we're thinking about Big Guy, and to honor him. That's what Big Guy was known for. Every time you saw a Big Guy, say, how you doing, Big Guy? You see, beautiful. And that's why Todd has it on the roof of his truck.
And that's about all he would say a lot of times, because his head was down. He was working. I loved his work ethic. He never hesitated to jump into any problem and try to fix it and work it out.
And he's 6'8".
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we call him Big Guy.
Hey, Adam Alexander, how is Kyle Busch doing out front?
Well, they have some concerns, something they really haven't had throughout the night. You guys talked about Todd Bodine gaining ground on him. One of the reasons why, Kyle Busch said the truck vapor locked shortly after that last restart. Said it's the second time it happened tonight. The good news is only 10 laps remaining. The bad news, Todd Bodine going to be very, very aggressive on the restart. Richie Waters waiting patiently, hoping his driver can hang on for his 3rd win of the year.
You know, that's exactly what Todd Bodine's going to. He's going to be aggressive. He's wanting to win this race at Bristol. This place brings it out in you. You want to go away from here saying, I just won at Bristol. This is one of the toughest tracks on the circuit. Todd Bodine's going to be all over Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch, his best finish at this racetrack, a 5th. Todd Bodine, a 2nd. He's done it twice. Green flag back in the air. 9 laps to go.
Another good restart by Kyle Busch, but he had a good one last time. Truck vapor locked on. Look at Johnny trying to get 3rd away from his teammate, Scott Speed.
Scott Speed trying to hang on. Again, Scott Speed, limited schedule in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Already a win. Now he's got his teammate on the inside, battling for 3rd.
Johnny's wanting that spot down on the bottom. It's risky, though. We saw Jimmy Johnson he crashed trying to get up underneath another guy.
Look at all these trucks. Remember, Jack Sprague has some damage. There's Chad McCumbee, Ted Musgrave on the bottom. Oh, little contact right there. Musgrave goes by. Oh, Jason White turned around.
Jason White gets turned around. That will cause another caution to come out. We have tied the record here for caution flags, and it looks like laps might go down as well.
Man, what a solid run by Jay White. That was just somebody got to the back of Jack. He was limping around here. They get in the back of him.
Chain reaction.
Caused a major pileup off turn 4. Jason was the only one that had to pay the price by spinning out. Luckily, kept it out of the outside wall. You can go return to the battle.
What a tough situation for quite a few drivers here tonight.
Colin Brown was also involved in it. I don't think there was any more contact. You couldn't do much more damage to that Conway Ford.
That's not beautiful.
That's a modified vehicle.
Check this log jam out. It all happened with a little contact from Ted to Jack, and the guy that paid the price was about 5 or 6 trucks back.
Yeah, very little damage, though, to that 0-8 Gunbroker's truck, so he ought to be able to get back in this thing. There are only 18 trucks right now on the lead. There's another view. You see, Eric Darnell was going to duck to the inside to get by Chad McCumbee. Jason had already stuck his nose up in there. Just a little bit of contact, enough to turn him around.
And already because we are so short on laps, they're going to let them know one more time around. We're going to get the green flag. There'll be 4 laps of racing remaining. When they get the green flag, that is a shootout. And we've got Kyle Busch, who's had some pretty good restarts. Can Todd Bodine battle him on this final restart?
Yeah, Todd's going to need to get a better jump than he has the last 2. He erased about half of the deficit that he gave away on the restart 2 times ago that time. Now, if he can get all the deficit gone and go down in turn 1 right on Kyle Busch's bumper, we could see an exciting finish.
Hey, we've got 4 laps to go when they restart this race. That's 1 minute. That's 60 seconds.
60 seconds. Well, you can hold your breath if you'd like for 60 seconds. We'll try to talk you through it. Kyle Busch coming out of turn number 4. The green flag will fly. It is 4 laps of racing to go.
Good start by Todd Bodine. Kyle gets a truck length out on him, but that's it.
Todd trying to stick right on that back bumper now. 2-3 truck lengths separate the 2.
Johnny's trying to figure out a way to get by his teammate for the 3rd spot. Skinner on the outside battling.
I like the job that Mike Skinner's done tonight and his team, man. He did not like his truck at all in practice. He's battling for that 6th spot.
You wear your nose around.
Slow on the racetrack. He gets spun around, and the caution comes out once again.
Yet another restart for Kyle Busch to keep Todd Bodine behind him.
And this now will be officially a green-white checkered finish for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
Bit of a
5th one this season.
Right there on the racetrack.
See the debris on the track. Again, a difficult situation for Eric Darnell. He gets turned around. The caution once again, that's 12 on the evening.
That is a new record.
That is a new record, and we're about to tie the record for caution laps. 69 was the record coming in.
Richie Waters said
was
going to be one attempt at a green-white checker.
Explaining how this will end. They will have one chance to go 2 laps.
Man, just got away from them there.
We've seen that a lot tonight.
Really
we talked about the tires are softer this time, but yet trucks are jumping out from underneath guys.
Saw it earlier with Jimmy Johnson.
Nice job by Brendan Gaughan avoiding that incident.
That was a battle for the 12th, 13th spot.
Yeah, all the way back there. Fortunately, Eric is able to stay on the lead lap. Again, there's only 17 trucks right now on the lead lap. Jason White actually lost a lap.
See that truck limping around on the bottom?
That would be Ron Horner.
That's the one I said wouldn't be. I bet you it doesn't have I bet it doesn't have an oil cooler on it, or it might even have a radiator. They're just trying to make a couple of laps, and they're being able to pull it off right now. Can't get up to speed so much, but he's just logging laps around the apron, trying to preserve a spot or 2, trying to keep from falling down even further than he is right now.
Now they're letting him know. Next time by, we'll go back to green-white checkered. And for more information, the guru of green-white checkered, Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. This will be the 74th one in the series career. But you know what I find interesting? Tonight is our 11th race at Bristol. And believe it or not, this will only be the 3rd time at this particular racetrack where we've finished green-white checkered. That's a bit surprising. But I want to follow up real quickly on the number 23 for Johnny Benson. He got on the radio and talked to Trip Bruce. He said, please talk to our teammate, the 22 of Scott Speed. Let him know I'm going to try to come by. He said, now I'm going to race him. I don't expect anything for free, but tell him to make sure under no circumstances does he take us out of this race.
Kyle Busch now about to bring the field for the green-white checkered. Green in the air at Bristol.
Todd has 2 laps or about 30 seconds to do something with Kyle Busch.
He had a great restart, but again, Kyle Busch pulling away. 3 truck lengths as they go into turn number 3. Kyle Busch, the white flag will be in the air. 1 lap of racing to go for Kyle.
Kyle's got a couple truck lengths on Todd.
Todd Bodine trying to reel him in. It's the same distance, though, as they enter turn number 3. Kyle Busch will win his 3rd race of 2008.
Great job by Todd Bodine in 2nd.
Crashing off turn 4.
Brian Scott spins off turn number 4. Scott Speed, another top 5 finish for that young driver.
Johnny Benson not able to get by his teammate. It looked as though they raced very clean. Scott Speed comes home in 3rd.
Great job by Kyle Busch, Richie Waters, and that team. They had their strategy. They got their tires early, Michael, and it worked for them.
And they dominated. They about by far had the fastest truck. Only one time in the 200-lap race did it look like somebody was better than Kyle, and that was with about 10 to go when Todd Bodine began closing on him.
Let's hear from the winning crew chief. He's with Adam Alexander.
They came down pit road at lap 42, Rick. They never wavered on the strategy, and Richie Waters, you guys are celebrating a victory again. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's been a long time since we won again, and I got to take my hat off to Billy Blue keeping this truck going every day, and Toyota and Mikazuki and James Finch for helping us out with this deal. It's unbelievable, and then to have Rowdy Bush drive this thing is the greatest thing in the world. And I want to say hi to my wife and my daughter at home tonight. And it's been a long week again, and we'll see you tonight.
All right, Richie Waters going to go home with a checker flag. Kyle Busch, the guy that's going to deliver it to him.
Kyle Busch grabs that checkered flag. Guys, listen to this statistic. 17 wins in 2008 for Kyle Busch in the 3 different series. Is that amazing or what?
Pretty good career right there. Unprecedented.
17 wins this year.
That's never happened before. And it's fun, you know, when you're a sport, you love your sports, and you see people doing special things. This is a special time for that young man.
I mean, we talk about amazing feats. We saw in the Olympics, you know, Phelps winning 8 gold medals. He is winning in all 3 series of NASCAR and dominating. 8 wins in the Cup Series, 6 wins in the Nationwide Series, and adding his 3rd win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series tonight here in Bristol. His first win in a truck at Bristol. Kyle Busch will celebrate in victory lane when we come back. Welcome back. The O'Reilly 200 presented on Speed by Camping World RV Sales just concluded. The elevated victory lane is all lit up right now. And Adam Alexander's down there with our victor.
And Kyle Busch, for the 17th time in 2008, celebrating victory in a NASCAR event tonight in the Truck Series at Bristol. And with the win, he joins Carl Edwards and Mark Martin is the only drivers to win in all 3 series here at Thunder Valley. The last time you won in a truck, March at Atlanta. How does it feel to be back in victory lane?
I got some in my eye. Feels pretty good. You know, this is definitely, you know, a great race team. A lot of fun with Billy Ballou and Richie and all these guys. And so we just had a great race tonight, you know. I mean, this thing was pretty good. And when we unloaded it, same stuff as last year. And just kind of fine-tuned on it a little bit. And you know, we got into it a little bit with Johnny there. Sorry about that, but I didn't even see him coming down there. I got my nose in there, and he was trying to miss a lap truck, I guess. But overall, just to stay up front all night and keep our nose clean, bring this Mikazuki Resorts and NOS Energy Drink Toyota to victory lane was pretty awesome.
A number of cautions with restarts late and then the vapor locking problem. How concerned were you?
Very concerned. It happened on every single one of them. That one, luckily, I got a good jump. And they caught back up to me going down a backstretch, and everything I had was lost. But then it did it again on the next restart, getting into turn 3, so it didn't hurt as bad. And then the last restart, it did it coming off of 4, coming to the white. So, I mean, I was pretty worried about there at every time, just not knowing when it was going to do it or what it was going to do and how long it was going to do it for. So, fortunately, we were able to make it there, and, you know, I kept trying to rev it up through the cautions to keep the cycle of fuel going and keep fresh fuel coming up there so it didn't have time to sit and get hot. But it helped a little bit, but not a whole lot. But still got to thank TRD, all the guys in the engine shop, everybody at Joe Gibbs for letting me do this, and Joe Gibbs Racing Oil and all the fine folks there.
The amazing season continues for Kyle Rowdy Busch. He has won tonight at Bristol. Ray?
Adam, a very good night for Todd Bodine, and I think we could categorize that race as a beautiful finish. How about it?
Yeah, I really wanted to win this one for Big Guy. You know, there's once in a lifetime a person will come into your life like Big Guy and affect it the way he affected all his friends with his love and his laughter of life and his friends. And we wanted to go out and get a beautiful win for him, and came up a little short. The Lumber Liquidator's truck Tundra was really good. Just didn't quite roll the center as good as Kyle. And you know, Bristol, you got to roll the center to be able to get down the straightaways. But we had a great run. You can't complain. Everybody at Germain Racing did a great job. And you know, we've struggled the last month and a half. Trucks run really well, and we've gotten some wrecks that weren't our fault. And last week we finally got a 3rd at Nashville, a 2nd tonight at Bristol. Hopefully we got this Germain race team turned around, going the right direction. we got a great group, and it's not from lack of effort by any means. And hopefully this Lumber Liquid Air Tundra will be in victory lane next time.
Well, we wish you good luck. And, of course, we're talking about big guy. His real name was Steve Hillwig. We lost him a week ago, but a beautiful finish for Todd Bodine. Adam?
And a great night for Billy Blue Motorsports. We already heard from the winner of the race, Kyle Busch, teammate David Stremme. Ninth, your best ever run in a truck. Talk about the finish tonight.
Well, one of the things with the Billy Blue Motorsports Summer 15 Argon Toyota was for me to come in and try to help the team and evaluate it. And we didn't have a very good truck at all from unloading to qualifying. We drug a lot qualifying, qualified 30th, but come to top 10. Pretty happy with that. It's a very short race, but really proud of all those guys. You know, they worked and got the truck better, and that's what we need to do. So they still got some work, but Kyle was hooked up. He did a really good job, so I just come up and congratulate them. And they had a lot of fun, though, tonight.
24th tonight for David Stremme tonight here at Bristol.
Going to get victory lane celebration continuing for Kyle Busch. There was 3 different trucks that were out in front tonight. Jimmy Johnson was one of them. He led 29 laps. We hope this doesn't spoil Jimmy Johnson's idea of the Truck Series. He's welcome back at any time. Again, him running for Randy Moss Motorsports here. The O'Reilly 200 presented on Speed by Camping World RV Sales. We'll be right back with more.
The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series is presented on Speed by Camping World RV Sales. Everyday low prices guaranteed. Brought to you in part by Toyota, moving forward. And by new Touch Up Gray that lets you keep some gray hair. Touch Up Gray for the generation that swore it would never get old.
Another trophy for the trophy case of Kyle Busch. Another big one. This time winning at Bristol Motor Speedway. And Adam actually touched on the fact he joins Carl Edwards and Mark Martin as the only drivers to win in all 3 series here at Bristol Motor Speedway. And the 3rd win of the season for him in this truck series. Now let's see how Kyle Busch and his Mikasuki Toyota team had the winning touch in today's race. He's actually orchestrating the crowd to find out which section cheered the loudest. That was his winning touch. Move of the race for Kyle Busch, and then grabbing the checkered flag. Finishing 3rd, an impressive performance tonight. Scott Speed, he's with Ray Dunlap.
Thank you, Rick. Let's talk to Scott. You know, this is your year to learn about stock car racing, and I thought you had 3 big challenges this year. Salem, Indiana, Dover, and Bristol. I didn't think you'd do very well at any of those. You ran the top 3 at Salem all day. You won at Dover. You win the pole here and finish in the top 3. How in the world did you do it?
Honestly, I mean, good stuff. Clearly, I mean, qualifying the car is a lot easier than the racing. You see at the beginning, you know, to get in the groove and to get racing with the guys took me a little bit, but once we did, you know, it kind of felt like a fit in there a little bit. You know, to run with Kyle and Todd is great. I mean, running with guys like that really makes the learning process, you know, escalate because the guys are really, really good. They're making good decisions. I can see what they do. And, you know, the truck is amazing. Every time I get in, we unload the thing, we're 4th like right away. I mean, as long as I don't mess it up during practice somehow, then normally it's okay.
Did you have fun out there?
Yeah, no, for sure. It was definitely the funnest short track race yet.
All right. Great night for Scott Speed from the pole, finishing 3rd. Adam?
And his teammate did similar. Started 2nd and finishes in the 4th position. Talking about Johnny Benson. I know you wanted to win 4 in a row, but a 4th tonight, given the problems the other guys had, another solid top 5 is nice.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've been in that position too earlier this year, so I mean, it's kind of is what it is. But Trip Bruce and the guys, they did a great job in Exide Tundra, so we just keep doing what we're doing. You know, we're disappointed we didn't win, but in the same token, when he pulled some of the strategy that we did a year ago, but a little bit further back this time, so it didn't work out. But I got to really thank Toyota Certified Used Vehicles also for everybody being on board. It's been great. Like I say, everything's been going good. It was a solid run for us. Sure like to have been up there and got that 4th one, but we'll have our chances.
Unofficially, 119 points the advantage for Johnny Benson as the trucks head next to St. Louis.
And unofficially, let's take a look at the unofficial Ford point standings. It is Johnny Benson with the largest lead of the season. 119 points over Ron Hornaday, Matt Crafton, 156. Now, those 2 aren't out of it. We still have 9 races to go. There's quite a few that can still get up there and contest with Johnny Benson for this win.
Absolutely. Todd Bodine coming off a great runner-up finish, now 239 points behind, but gains 2 spots.
And Skinner, with a truck he didn't like, getting a top 10 finish. That's big in the points.
Big night for Kyle Busch once again. 17 wins in the 2008 season. Welcome back. Two champions from a year ago in this race. Both of them crashed out of this race. It was Jimmy Johnson that crashed out prior to Ron Hornaday, but obviously problems for both former champions. One in the Sprint Cup Series, the other here in the Truck Series, looking to defend his championship. How about the third win of the 2008 season, though, for Kyle Busch as he continues to celebrate in victory lane? Adam Alexander.
And a number of young guys at the front of the field tonight. TJ Bell, first ever trip to Bristol and a career best finish of 6th. Congratulations on a great run tonight.
Thank you very much. Before I get into the race and everything, I just want to say happy birthday to my girlfriend Alexis. It's her birthday today. And Grandpa Bob at home, get better. And Kerry Hart and his whole family, I want to send out condolences. They lost their brother. But I'll tell you what, this TRG Chevy Silverado, unbelievable. I just can't thank everybody at the shop, all the partners in the TRG, stable that we have here, and Home for the Holidays. They're a great organization. Go adopt a pet. You don't need to buy one. There's many pets out there that need homes. But I just can't thank these guys enough. Can't thank everybody enough for what they've given me and the opportunity I have in this truck.
Kevin Buckler, the owner, said we need a good run tonight. I think they got a great one. TJ Bell celebrating his best career finish. Ray?
Let's hear from Rick Crawford. Cowboy told you to focus that energy, and you did it from 24th to 5th. How about that run?
That was a pretty neat run tonight with a Ford Power Stroke diesel by International. The F-Series pickup did a good job. Everybody needs to drive one. I did. Almost drove it to the front tonight. But driving it in the top 5 after starting 24th and finished 5th with that foreign brand up front, I think the American brand of Ford finishes top 5. That's good. I will take that. We need to stop the bleeding. We had a couple of bad weeks here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and now we've got a little momentum for Gateway and Loudon, which are two good tracks for us.
All right, good run for Rick Crawford. And guys, down here, they're pulling out the engine hoist. A number of engines going to come out and go to the dyno, but I think Double A's caught up with another guy who had a great run tonight at Bristol.
Indeed the case. Dennis Setzer elects to pit with 50 laps to go. I was a little concerned restarting 21st, but you rally for your 5th top 10 of the year, Dennis.
Yeah, we were also, but I applaud Marcus Richmond, my crew chief. I told him to go ahead and take a chance. We weren't very good at that point, right at about 50 to go. Come in and got some tires. We had a little issue on our right front at that time again. So, that probably got us into the top 10. We were going to probably fade a little bit where we were. So, I applaud Marcus on our Tahoe Dodge right there. He done a good job again.
Setzer always good on the short tracks. 8th tonight for him at Bristol.
What a strong truck it looked like Dennis Setzer would have tonight. Another top 10 finish. How about Bristol Motor Speedway? We always talk about this being maybe a hurdle as we close in on the final races of the season, and it was for a guy like Ron Hornaday.
Yeah, sure it was. Johnny Benson obviously came in here as our point leader. Had a pretty good evening, finishes in the top 5, but great run by Scott Speed. First time he ever laid eyes on this racetrack this morning, and he finishes in the top 5 with a pole.
A terrific run, but Phil, I'm not feeling this championship settled by any means.
Not even close.
I think there's a lot of problems that these guys up in the front of the points are having. Johnny's probably thinking, wonder when my turn is to have those problems. It happened to Ron tonight.
Yep. Jimmy Johnson, you see, finishing 34th, had that problem. Was not able to finish this race, but it was good to see Jimmy Johnson. Obviously, he shined another spotlight on this series. The spotlight continues to shine when we move on to Gateway International Raceway. The setup begins at 2, the race at 2:30.
Going to be another great event at Gateway. Very challenging racetrack, 2 distinctly different corners on each end of the racetrack. Cannot wait to get there.
I hope that young man right there is able to lay down at night and say, oh, this is nice. I'm very thankful for all these wins and what a year I'm having. You need to live it up when things go like they're going for you, like they are for him.
That's the amazing thing, is sometimes it goes by so quickly that you don't see what is actually taking place. 17 wins in the NASCAR series, all 3 of them for Kyle Busch. He gained his 17th this evening, his 3rd of the 2008 season in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Bristol Motor Speedway winner, Kyle Busch.